Hello there. Good evening. Welcome to, I don't even know what day to call this anymore. I think we are on now day 8 of the 5-day challenge. So you guys just getting bonuses, you're getting all kind of love. Welcome this evening. Make sure you say hello in the comments. I'll wait for y'all to come on in. Continue to encourage your sisters, continue to congratulate and encourage folks who are staying in momentum and doing their thing to be committed to the call on their lives. If you're brand new and you are just now checking in for the first time, don't feel like you're behind. You caught us at a great time. Let me make sure I introduce myself properly. I'm Patrice Washington. I am the founder of Redefining Wealth, and my mission at this stage in my life, because I do believe purpose evolves, is to help this generation redefine wealth for themselves. So that means to help remind you that wealth is not just about money and material possessions. Wealth is about the condition of well being, because that was the original definition of the first place. We just kind of got it a little lost somewhere along the way. And so I have been now for about 4 years just doing my thing, sharing with people that this journey is not just about, chasing money, it's about seeking wisdom. And our mantra is chase purpose, not money, because I believe that when you are walking, breathing, living in your purpose day in and day out, it is so much easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easier to prioritize, right? Like what you are actually supposed to be doing with your money. When you know that you are really committed to the call on your life, you're committed to your purpose, all of a sudden, what fulfills you is being in a space where you can do more of that. When you find the people you are compelled to serve, like I feel compelled to serve you all, which is why we're on day what? 8 of the 5-day challenge, because we're going to keep, like, I want you to stay in momentum. I want you to stay excited. I want you to be enthused. But more than anything, I want to set you up to take action. I want to set you up to take action, because that is really how we show our level of commitment, right? And because I am committed to that, right? I can prioritize continuing to show up for you guys night after night. Now, on Friday, August 20th, the doors to Purpose to Platform close. So I won't be here in our Facebook group. I won't be here on YouTube. I'm really going to go all in on my commitment to serve our new ladies in Purpose to Platform, to serve that new cohort. And I am looking so forward to that. And I'm looking forward to you guys seeing what happens at the end of the 12 weeks. So, no matter what you choose to do, I'm going to tell you when it's graduation time. Graduation time for this next cohort of P2P is in November. Think about how quick that is. It's right 12 weeks of being fully immersed in this community, with quality coaching, with solid curriculum, and again with a community like no other. So if you saw what it just kind of felt like, tasted like, a little snippet of what it looked like to be supported by women from, and a few good men. I got to keep leaving the guys out. I know you here. Don't be mad. But what it felt like to be supported by a community of people from all over the world who maybe you've never seen before, you've never met them before, and yet somehow you felt, hmm, I actually feel like this person genuinely wants to see me win, right? That's because when you're around not just like minded people, but like hearted people, you can't help, right? You can't help but lean into that and feel that. So I'm super excited. I hope that you've still been digging in and meditating. I saw someone say today, Patrice said we might not sleep last week. Why am I still not sleeping? Why am I still up? Now I want you to, you're a fit pillar now. I want you to take care of yourself. So you have to go to sleep. But I love that that type of excitement exists that makes you feel like, wow, I know that this is so close now. Maybe before you started the challenge, it felt so far away, right? And now it feels so real. And like you can put your hand out and get and just touch it. We're going to take that like one step further. Okay. We're going to take that one step further, um, because I wanted to share with you tonight another element to what we do at Purpose to Platform. So I know I've talked to you and you've gotten to experience like what I do, a bit of it. You really don't know the half, but a bit of what I do as a coach. Um, you've seen the other 6 coaches that support me in the program. That's wrapping you in support with branding, clarity, tech. Uh, oh my gosh, mindset, strategy, and a faith coach. You are so wrapped up, right, with the coaches. And then even beyond that, we still like to bring in, we still like to bring in amazing, amazing people that I've met along my journey that I trust. So these are people that I typically will talk to, will reach out to. Like I'm really inspired by their journeys. And I bring in people who, most of them, I've gotten to see in some form or fashion how their purpose has evolved and how they've literally committed to the call and what's happened in their lives. And I want them to be able to share those stories with you, but also give you practical tools, right? Give you practical tools, give you tangible things that you can do. So, beyond what we do in our community, we also bring in 3 people, one a month, who are going to pour into you. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. The Q&As are always fire. And the what the ladies walk away with is always such a blessing. Now, these type of master mentor sessions, you don't just have access to the 3, you don't just have access to the 3 that you get when you are live or, in that current cohort of Purpose to Platform. I'm also I'm also throwing in the back catalog, the because it's still juice. Good information is good information. So if you know that you're coming to Purpose to Platform because you really want to go to the next level as an author, we have a session on that. If you know that, okay, when I really get my messaging clear, I think media is my next step. Someone who coached me in media, we have a session for that. If you know it's about podcasting, whatever it is that you want to do, remember, Purpose to Platform is the foundation. Purpose to Platform is the foundation that allows you to build on whatever you feel like God is calling you to next. And so we have about 16 or 17 past sessions. So based on what you need, you can go back and check those out. You'll have access to those as well as the current 3 that you'll get live while you're in this experience. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Now, I'm so excited. Okay. I was I was running through that because I'm really excited to get to our master mentor. For today, y'all were pumped up when I said who was coming yesterday. So let me tell you, I'm gonna be that friend that don't have a formal bio, but I have watched the journey. And I am so excited to introduce you to Maddie James. Now I know what being a brand partner and an influencer, what it's done in my business. I know what it's done in my life. I know how it's added to me being able to move my message forward in a big way. And this is the person that I look up to in this space. This is the person that I look up to in this space. I'm going to bring her up. I see y'all going crazy. Maddie James. Yes, honey, it's Maddie James. Let me bring her up. Without further ado, Maddie, I think you got to unmute yourself, Maddie.
I was trying to make sure I didn't make any noise. Hi, guys.
That you didn't make noise. So I have to say this. I got to say
Okay.
this. I don't really remember what it was specifically, but just be clear when I say that a lot of the people that I bring in as master mentors are people that I truly have watched, I'm inspired by. I look to them for info in this space. I know that everybody is like, oh, my girl, my girl. But I actually met Maddie when we were both bloggers. And
Yep.
I was like, the first blog I tell y'all about, I had an ugly blog, a blogspot.com. But hey, I was out
That
there.
means that you were really committed because I too had an ugly blog spot. And that just means that we were really committed to this content creation life. Okay.
We
If you
were,
didn't have an ugly blog spot, I just don't know if you were really committed back in the day.
baby, we were committed. I met Maddie at an event, just someone I kind of followed, throughout the years. And Maddie, the thing that really stands out to me about you, and I'll let you do your formal thing, and I'm going to get off the screen because I want them to really experience you. They're tired of me. But it's just watching that journey, like going
Mm,
from having the blog, yes, and it was a beauty blog in particular, right? With
Hmm.
brand and
Yeah,
fashion,
beauty and style. Yep.
beauty and style, but then just watching how your purpose has evolved. And now I get to see you not just do your thing with beauty and style, but I love when your kids are even included. I love that. I'm like, Maddie really is getting paid just to be Maddie. Ain't this about
Listen, man, when I say God shows off about, he don't play about me. And I am so grateful for that. And that means so much to me because I've had so much respect and admiration from you since the early days. Because I think the thing that has consistently been around your name in my life is anytime I said Patrice Washington, people lit up. Oh, like, yeah, Patrice is the truth. She's great. She's a light. And for as long, you know how long we've been doing this, you know what I mean? We're, as far as content creators, we're a decade in, if not more. And for that to consistently be the theme around your name, I that's something that I really admire, and I love that it just is a reflection of who you truly are, versus like, oh, Patrice shows up when it's time to talk money and different things like that. Like, we know you can handle business, but just to have a reputation where people light up when they hear your name is something that has always been super admirable for me. So I've always loved you. It's been so fun seeing you. I just get excited about you. Because I know how deeply invested you are in elevating people's purpose. So it gets me super excited.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. So I wanted the ladies tonight to get an opportunity to feel what a master mentor session kind of feels like, where someone
Right.
is just like given the real, like, let
Yeah.
me tell you, friend, how we
Y-
gonna do this thing. Um,
Yep.
and so I just feel like, right now there's so much opportunity, especially for women, and in particular, I'm gonna say for women of color right now working with brands. I feel like I have been, I mean, pursued more than
Hmm.
since 2020, since, all the
Yeah.
things.
All the
last
things.
I'm really at a space now where it's definitely like saying no to things. And I remember
Oh,
when I was
yeah.
like, I really wish a brand would
Yeah.
please like make it happen. Come on, do
Yeah.
something. But you're the expert in this space. I would love for you to share just how your journey has evolved, how you went from the blog
Yeah.
to now, I mean, a brand influencer teaching other people how to actually pitch and connect with brands. How did this all come about?
Well, I love it. I feel so fortunate that I am in this position where, my husband always says like, babe, you get paid to be yourself. And I think it's about also understanding what that actually entails. I got started in 2000, in 2010, I started blogging. I had just won Miss Liberia USA. And so I just had like a little bit of buzz around my name within that Liberian community, especially online. And blogging was something that I had discovered a few years back. And I was just fascinated by it. I couldn't believe that the information we used to get from magazines would be updated daily on the internet every time we showed up to a website. That was mind boggling to me. And so I just started talking about the things I liked very casually, slowly but surely got more consistent. And I started in 2010. I don't think I got anything paid whatsoever until like the end of 2011. And I think it was like $250 from American Express, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, glory to God, they gave me and Chris, my husband, free tickets to the Earth, Wind, and Fire concert. And I was feeling very VIP. Like, it's still something that excites me when I tell that story, because anytime a brand is excited to work with me or decides to pay me for my content or give me an opportunity, I just don't take that for granted, truly. And very fortunately, I've had really good experiences as an influencer. And so since then, really great things have happened. I'm married to my amazing husband, who's also the COO of the Maddie James Company, and we run that together. And essentially, the bulk of the profit of that company is to create content for brand partners. And so I went full time in 2015. I got let go from my good job that my mom really insisted that I keep, even though the blog was doing very well and making as much money at that time as my 9 to 5. And I just hit the ground running. Honestly, when I lost my job, that's where space was created for me to start teaching other people. Because one, when I started blogging, there wasn't many people, period, getting paid opportunities as a blogger yet, let alone in Atlanta, let alone Black women. And so I feel very fortunate because I think the timing for me was wildly, wildly in my favor because I started so early on. And so we really just kind of hit the ground running. I started teaching classes, kind of started teaching $97 master classes. And now it's grown into my signature course called Pitch Please, where I teach influencers how to leverage their content to get paid brand opportunities. And it's been fantastic. It's unbelievable. We're trending for our first seven-figure year in brand partnerships alone. And I think that, it's really just a reflection of where the industry is now, but also the thing that I really learned. Somebody asked me on my Q&A. I do a weekly Q&A on my Instagram stories. If you follow me, I do that usually every Monday. And someone asked me, what was the latest epiphany that I had? And the latest epiphany was that uh, a good content creator is not synonymous with a good business person. So just because you can create good content doesn't mean that you necessarily know or understand how to handle business. And this was a light bulb for me because I think for so many of us, when we create content online, we're following all the rules, right? We're listening to what all of our favorites tell us. We're posting 3 to 5 times, like Monty Woodward, what Woodard tells us. And, we're doing the reels because Instagram says, they're no longer just a photo sharing company. So we're following all the rules. We're posting consistently. We're making sure we're paying for really high quality photography, making sure that we're editing in a really great way. But then what happens is it's like crickets. You don't hear from brands, or maybe brands are offering you really, really low amounts. And it's like, yeah, because content creation is just one part of the business as an influencer. And really, even though I've been in the game for so long, if we just count full time, it's been 6 years. This was the year I finally understood that how I handle business as an influencer needs to be the commitment needs to be there as much as like creating pretty content, right? It's like as much as I like know how to beat my face, put on a cute shirt and all of that. It's like, do you take that same kind of energy? Do you take that same kind of intentionality when you are in fact pitching a brand? And for me, again, I've been really fortunate because a lot of my brand opportunities come to me. And I think that's just because of how long I've been doing it. I'm grandfathered in a lot of mailing lists and, in agency databases. But it's like, what if you started playing offense, right? You would start to have more control and really educating yourself on sales, on pitching, And I think this is what a lot of influencers don't really get. One, because you can't go to school for becoming a full-time or professional influencer, right? There's nobody, they can teach you how to be a journalist, but that's different than being an influencer, right? Because as an influencer, you've got to be a little bit of everything. A photographer, you got to do your own hair and makeup. You got to be a copywriter, and then you also have to do sales, right? And I think, there's, of course, many influencers who are fortunate to be repped by agencies and all of that, but that's such a small percentage. It's the same thing as models, right? Or basketball players who make it to the NBA. Not everybody's going to have that opportunity. And so what's really important to me is to, one, show people that, especially Black women, that you can be someone once called me a regular Black girl, and they're just like, I don't get it. I don't understand why people follow her. She's just a regular Black girl. And I'm like, that's the point. That
Yeah.
is the point. Like, you don't have to be a housewife. You don't have to be Beyonce. You don't have to be Michelle Obama. You don't have to be Oprah. You don't have to be any of our faves, right? Who are amazing and they inspire me so much. But if we're being completely honest, they're anomalies.
Yeah.
And so you can be a regular everyday woman, or someone who's a wife, someone who's a mother, someone who's a student, someone who, is currently working a retail gig, but eventually wants to have their own business. You can be quote unquote regular and be really successful. Again, if you have intentionality, if you get really clear on what it is you want to accomplish, and then stay very much so laser focused. And I think that's what has helped me in the last couple of years, especially. I just started zeroing kind of like, slowly but surely. I was just like, I just want to be great at being an influencer. And I think so many times too, that's almost kind of looked down upon. It's almost like, okay, like being an influencer is cool, but there's not that much money in there. And it's like, well, that's not true. It's just that a lot of us as influencers in the beginning, we don't take it seriously, right? It's kind of, honestly, for a lot of influencers, it's a glorified paid hobby. But when
Yeah.
you approach it like a business, right? And you start to implement processes, you start to identify goals, you start to read your analytics and your data and connect the dots to specific goals, then we start to get to a place where things start happening. And that's really my goal as a teacher, and as a coach for influencers.
Maddie, too much. Too much. Too much. There was too much said here. Okay, so I have to take it all the way back because I know that we have people that are in different, parts of their journey right now.
For
First
sure.
of all, when you lost the job, and I love someone said in the comments, no, when they lost you. You didn't
Come
lose them.
on. I received that. Thank you.
So when you lost the job and you already doing your thing, and like you said, the blog was getting successful and all that stuff, and your mom, and we know we love mamas. We love
We
well-meaning.
love them.
We love mamas, right? Because they're doing what they know. They're advising us from the perspective that they know. A lot of the things that we do today are
Right.
completely foreign,
Right.
especially to
Right.
those of us who have foreign parents. They definitely like,
Abs-
what?
Absolutely, because the way my West African parents are set up.
You will go to school. Now, okay, that was cute on the side, but where's your job? Where's your benefits, right? Can you just share? Because now when you look back at your journey, and I know I see you and Maya, your sister, always talk about how amazing your parents are and how supportive they've been. But when you look back over your journey, when you think about that advice, right, which was well intended about like, hey,
Hmm.
what you doing? Like, okay, well, where's the next job?
Right.
What do you think about? Do you ever think about what if I would have gone and taken another job, or
Right.
I would have gone
Right.
and done another thing? Could I be here saying we're on track to seven figures because
There's no way.
I can?
There's truly no way, right? Because that, to me, that still would have created a diversion of focus, right? And again, I was very fortunate at this point, like the blog was making 50, 60K a year. So it was making a full time, right? I wasn't scrambling, right? I was by no means a millionaire, but I was not scrambling anymore with my blog. And you know what I think? I think that my mom was really encouraging, but of course, she just advised me from what she had, right? As a parent, it's just like, well, I was taught, like, as an immigrant, to get my kid in college and then make sure she gets a good job and so she can provide for her family. I don't think, of course, there was no ill will or whatnot. And I
Right.
got to say that she was just crazy encouraging, even when she didn't get it. She was crazy encouraging. But I have to say, on the other side, I think aside from like my self confidence and really just believing in myself, because I got to say, I just had some blind confidence, even when I didn't know what I was doing. I just really knew that this thing would work. This is why having the right partner is so incredible, because I think Chris was also very affirming and really spoke life into opportunities that came my way. And that's certainly why, he's able to be the COO of the company now. And absolutely, the success we're having this year has so much to do with his, genius and just perspective and just understanding of like the big picture. I think that's also really important. Do you have big picture people around you, whether it's personally or professionally? And I'm fortunate to have both. And we're really fortunate because we have a small team. We're small but mighty. And just encouraging one another, even if we miss the mark, and saying like, okay, so this was something that didn't work. How do we grow from this? How do we get better? But yeah, I think Chris was certainly so great. And I mean, my parents now, all they do is brag about me and Maya. And so thankfully, we did have a sense of confidence within us. And a lot of that was just like growing up. They just spoke life into us. They always said that we could do whatever we wanted as long as we were willing to work hard, regardless of what anybody said. And funny enough, we ended up actualizing their own advice, even when they were
Right.
naysayers. And it ended up really benefiting us.
Oh, wow. I just love that. I love that. I mean, because sometimes I do believe we have to reject advice that's not in alignment with our current vision. And it doesn't
Absolutely.
matter who the advice comes from. It doesn't matter that, oh, but my cousin said, does
Yep.
nobody make money doing that? Because
Yep.
you haven't met anyone yet, like physically doing that. That doesn't mean that nobody makes money doing that, or you're going to be,
Exactly.
destitute or something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just love these stories. Okay, so I love this idea of even, well, let me go back because now I want to talk to you like it's the podcast and I'm supposed to.
Right, right. You know us. We'll keep them on here until midnight.
They already know. So I'm gonna drop off. I would love for you to just share. So please drop questions in the chat that you have around being an influencer. But something that you said that really stood out was just about people treating influence work like it's a hobby.
Mhm.
So initially it's cute, right? And I started that way where it was like, oh, I got,
Most
yeah,
of us, if not all. Yeah.
or they let me register for free
Yeah. Yep.
post about it, like, and that's where it started. And it was great because it gave me an opportunity to just see that world in a different way. I didn't know that was a thing until someone reached out, right?
Right,
Let's
right.
talk about, can you define influencer for us and what that starts to look like in the beginning? Because I think when people hear influencer, it's easy now. You have 100,000 plus, I believe, social media followers are long, and I do too. So I don't want people to think, oh, well, that's easy. Here I am with,
Right.
here I am with my first 92 followers. What am I supposed to do with that? Or like, how am I supposed to be of influence? Can you just speak to what that really means and where you see people nowadays even getting started with attracting brands that don't have the hundreds of thousands of followers?
For sure. So for me, influencer is simply just a short way to say that you're an influence marketer. So essentially, your job is marketing, right? But it's content marketing. But specifically with your content, your job is to influence an audience. And for most of us, it's your social media followers to purchase stuff, right? So, and you do that by making them believe through your content. But for me, influencer is simply a short way of saying influence marketer. And influencer marketing is I mean, it's insanely massive now, compared to when I started, 11 years ago. It's trending to be if I'm not mistaken, I think $23 billion in the next 2 years industry. It's currently at about $15 billion a year. And the amount of money that brands are starting to invest in it, I mean, they're making space in their budgets specifically and solely for influencer marketing because the return on investment is massive and people just trust it more, right? It's because it's that in between. Influencer marketer is that in between your best friend telling you about a product she loves and Serena Williams saying that she loves a certain product, right? It's that middleman, right? And so it's a little bit safer than a celebrity endorsement because we understand that celebrities get paid for endorsements and to talk about products that they're trying to sell, whether it's their own or whoever they're the ambassador for. And while people understand that about influencers too, there's a level of approachability that influencers have that a celebrity doesn't have, right? So, i.e., if you've been following me since I had one kid and you've now journeyed with me since I've had, now that I have three, you understand a little bit more of my journey. And again, having access to me on Instagram on like a more day to day basis than, again, someone like a Beyonce or whoever your favorite person is, there's a level of connection and approachability. And that's what makes influencer marketing so incredibly massive and so incredibly effective. And most influencers speak the everyday language of social media. And that's something that not all celebrities have grasped or grasped organically anyway. And so to me, that's what influencer means. And so I think the not the mistake, because I think at the beginning this is fine. Like, we all approach it as a glorified hobby. I think what happens is like when you have somebody double tapping and liking your stuff and telling you, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair. Oh, Patrice, I love your lipstick. Oh my gosh, Patrice, your brows always look great. Oh, did you guys see Patrice's?" And then what happens is you have this conversation. It can definitely be distracting in the best way, right? You have people either, on either side, right? People either complimenting you and praising you, or on the other end saying like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe Patrice interviewed this person on her podcast," right? And so it's distracting either way. And so what happens is like you get so caught up in the chat, or you want to engage with your audience and all of that. But it's like, at the end of the day, why are you creating the content? What is the goal? You know what I mean? What kind of products and services or brands and companies do you want to be affiliated with or associated with? What kind of, and we talk about this in the course. I have a thing called Brand GPA, and basically it breaks down how you create what I call your brand bucket list. Who is on the list of brands that you want to work with? And what happens is we get so excited at the beginning that we just say yes to anybody. And it's like, well, is that brand even aligned with any of the values you have? You know what I mean? Do they serve any of the communities you've been a part of? You know, do they really believe in the things that you believe in? And I think we have to start getting, I think we're definitely at a place where influencer marketing, it requires that type of thoughtfulness and stuff like that. But in the beginning, yeah, because it was so rare to get paid by a brand, I get it. We were just super excited. I think the exciting part now is that there is so much money, like I said, billions of dollars in the influencer marketing agencies, that a lot of people have budgets, and paying an influencer is not as uncommon as it once was. I think on the other side, though, there are now so many influencers, because people now see that it is a really viable and profitable business, that you do now have to approach it with a level of intentionality that maybe 5, 6, 10 years ago you didn't have to, for you to actually stand out and be taken seriously.
Oh, that's so good. So many things there. You, I just, it's not a podcast. Okay. Let me, let me
So
focus on, let me focus on the questions that are coming in. So this Facebook user says, how do you develop brand partnerships beyond fashion or lifestyle content? I work in the book publishing space. So what would be
it's a great
their,
question.
like, yeah, what would you say to someone in that position?
Well, I think the thing is, and this is something I get asked a lot. And so that's why I love this question, because I do think there's this huge misconception that it's like, if you're not fashion or if you're not lifestyle, then really brands don't want to work with you. And gosh, that couldn't be further from the truth. I'll tell you a quick story. The lie I told myself when I became a mom was like, oh, brands aren't going to want to work with me. And if I'm being completely transparent, it was a huge lie, because the joke is that every kid I've made another $100,000 that year. And so it's a lie. Moms are one of the biggest groups that brands love to work with, just because we're the decision makers in our households. We're usually the ones who make decisions on products and services that are used in our home. And so I think that would help a lot of people is, again, what is your goal as an influencer, right? And I always like to say this with the caveat of, it doesn't have to be deep, just deliberate, right? If your goal is just to help your girl, be really good at fast fashion, that's great, right? You don't push anything that's over $150 to your audience, right? But it has to be really clear, right? If your goal is to help parents stay on budget while being stress free, it's like, and just talking about products that help them run their day to day better, that's fine too. If your goal is to help people who are learning to transition into being vegan, then that's fine too. And so there does have to be a goal, because when you have the idea that you can sell everything to everybody, you end up selling to no one. And so I do think it's really important, regardless of industry, regardless of niche, to really zero in on, hey, what am I trying to influence people to do, period.
Can we go back to, it doesn't have to be deep. It just needs to be deliberate. Maddie, I'm telling you, being deep is what keeps people. That,
Patrice.
no, seriously, in purpose to platform, I'm always like, hey, take a step back. You're way deep, friend.
Not
I,
even take a step back. I want you to take a deep breath. I'm going to say to you what I say to my kids. I want you to take a deep breath, because you're making PJ Masks become a big deal, and it's really not. I want you to, you just have to eat your breakfast, and then we can watch TV, right? It's the same thing. We got to go in order. And a lot of times people want to make going in order deep, and it's like, no, it's just one step at a time. You're trying to take four. This
right?
is why you're overwhelmed. This is why we're still stuck in the same place. You only got two legs. It's got to be one step at a time. But I love to say it, because I think so many times we get so into our heads. I ask me how I know. we get so into our heads, and you have to kind of snatch your own self together and kind of be, it's not deep, it's just deliberate. That showing up every day, right? Like working out, right? It's really not that deep. It's just like, yo, it's really commitment. And that's what a lot of times people really miss. And my husband is very black and white. I'm definitely the gray one in the relationship. He's very black and white, and like he's the kind of person where he's like, I don't get it. Like people say that marriage is hard work, and it's just not. It's just like you've got your person for life, and so you do what you're supposed to do for your person, right? And but that's really the kind of attitude we really have towards the business now, right? It's like your job is to sell products as an influencer, right? And I think that's another thing a lot of people don't get. They think they have to be a fashion, they think they have to be lifestyle, they think they need to be 5'7", they need to be black, living in New York, in Brooklyn. And it's like, no, you just have to be able to convince people to buy stuff. And if you have a smartphone, there's a good chance you could do that, especially if you show up day after day. It's not deep, it's just deliberate. And I think, I'm sure you've had variations of this conversation, but I think there's this idea that because it's the internet, there's a level of ease to it in comparison to traditional marketing or anything like that, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Maddie, can we get into that? Because I remember, I think, texting or DMing you one day, like, okay, I don't know if you remember this. I was like, I have to say this to someone who has the capacity to hear me without that I'm being a brat or anything. I know that I'm getting paid very well, but I
Yep.
also realize this is so much more demanding. It was cute and it was
Oh
like, hey,
yeah.
say this and we'll give you free tickets. When they
Yep.
start writing checks, they want to recheck and double check and redo and can you re-record and can you do this?
Listen, man.
Like
And
this is a lot.
it's a
It's
lot. And I'm a firm believer in, like, regardless of if you're paying me or not, right? I'm grateful for the opportunity, but once we start truly into like interrupting peace, you know what? It's cute. It's been great. I'm gonna go ahead and send you guys a formal email, but it's just not gonna work out for me. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I get this response often, but if you've ever emailed me, we have an autoresponder, everybody on my team, and basically the autoresponder lets you know that we're a small team of four. We all have families of small children. And so if this email got to us after 5 p.m. Eastern, we're going to get to it in the next 24 to 48 hours, in the next 1 to 2 business days. You know what I mean? So hold tight. You know what I mean? We don't work weekends. We don't work holidays. You know what I mean? If you're emailing me to specifically mentor you in this season, I don't have the capacity, but here, check out my podcast. A lot of the questions that I ask are on this podcast. And so, yeah, it does become one of those things where you have to set really clear boundaries. And I think we've done a really good job with that. And I think that's part of the brand partnership process that a lot of influencers don't even think of, right? You don't even think of, because it's like, gosh, when we had a brand, like, they would hit us up at like 7:30 every Friday. And I was like, who's answering you? Who's answering you, right? Because it's like, the God's honest truth is, as an influencer, you're a freelance contractor, you're an independent contractor. And so I think what a lot of times a lot of brands would make the mistake is that you think I work for you. And it's like, it's a partnership, right?
yeah,
That's why that it's usually partnership or collaboration, but it's specifically that because I don't work there. I don't work there. So you'll hear from me Monday morning.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But
You know what I mean?
said earlier, that's where it becomes, I'm just not a content marketer. I'm a CEO. Like this is a business.
Yep.
So we have business hours. You wouldn't expect to, I don't know, call your doctor's office. Even when you call the doctor on a Sunday at 3 p.m., they're like, hey,
You
you need to hang up and call 911 because we
call 911, or it's going to be it's going to be 2 to 3 hours before you can hear back from us, right? Like, even if it's super urgent. Like, a prime example is we have a beautiful relationship with our kids pediatrician, who we've been taking since my almost 7-year old was 6 months old. And so, we have a great relationship with her. We love them. But it's like, if we call her on a Saturday, she's gonna be busy. We're gonna have to wait 2 hours for her to call us back. And that's honestly only because she's a doctor. Anybody else, like, Chick-fil-A is not opening on Sunday regardless.
that makes
So They'll
The
see you on Monday.
you pull up in there and cry on Sunday, they have told you we're not doing it, right? So we have to hold the same line. Okay, Maddie, this question comes from Lulu. She says, "Can you please touch on influencers' packages?" So I'm assuming,
Yeah.
like, how do you even determine your pricing, or where do you start to really, solidify those types of conversations?
Yeah. So I think the biggest issue is that a lot of people don't know how to price because they don't even know how to position their content. So until you know how to position your content, you won't ever know how to package or price specifically. As far as to me, when you pitch as an influencer, there's a four-step framework. You've got to position, then you have to package, and then you price, then you pitch, right? So to me, it's that four-step packet or four-step framework. And you've really got to start with positioning, right? Are you even positioning your content in a way that people would be willing to pay for it? So I think you have to ask yourself and be really kind of, explicitly honest with yourself, right? So if you are, and this means like not that your content is just pretty, and not that your content just solely has your that you have a lot of followers, right? It's like, because I know a lot of people who have triple the following I have and they don't make a third of what I make, right? Because knowing how to get people to pay attention to your content is very different than getting people to pay you for your content. And I think there's a lot of people who don't realize that. For me, when it comes to asking for someone to pay for it, I think about everything that adds value, you know what I mean? But in the beginning, when I did not know that, which for most of us in the beginning, you don't know that, I used the 10% rule, right? Like I would ask for 10% of what like my highest following was on like my most popular platform. So if we're being completely honest, typically we're asking around that like, $15,000 mark for a brand campaign, when it comes to working with brands, just because I have about 125,000 followers on Instagram now. And it tends to work out. Sometimes it doesn't work out, right? And sometimes we have a $5,000 campaign, and it's like that's fine, right? Because maybe they didn't want as much as I offered. But then also thinking about what is valuable to a brand at this time, right? People love Instagram Reels. People love all forms of long form video, IGTV, YouTube, and all of that, and then also thinking about what is the type of content that adds the most value, has the most reach, gets the most engagement, and also leveraging that. But again, you won't really know how to properly package or price until you are very clear on your positioning. Are you positioning your content to be seen as valuable to specific industries? If you're not posting outfit looks or like cute, trendy looks on a daily basis, or even on a weekly basis, you're not positioning your content to be taken seriously by Macy's or Saks or Nordstrom or H&M or anything like that, And so I think you have to understand that. Or, same thing, right? If you want your content to be taken seriously by, family friendly brands, right? Whether it's Lego, Mattel, and you don't really talk about or showcase your family life, it's going to be hard to leverage that because you haven't positioned it properly. It does not matter. The positioning is the kickoff. When
Yeah.
you know how to position, because that was what I figured out for me. I was like, wow, what? But I knew how to consistently position my content for brands to be like, oh, if we put my product in her content, it's gonna sell because she knows how to position. And so I think that's the biggest key, because positioning not only adds value to your audience externally, but internally it adds value to your business and a brand if they're part of that content.
Oh, I love that. I love that it comes down first and foremost to positioning. I feel that way about what we teach at Purpose to Platform because, I believe Purpose to Platform is a foundational thing. If you want
Hmm.
to be an influencer, cool. You already know though what your message is, like
Right.
who you're compelled to serve. You'll
Yep.
know who your audience is and what they want from you and what they need from you and what they want from you, right? And what's the thing that's
Absolutely.
going to continue to engage them. And it's funny, we love to jump to pricing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
Because
like,
it allows you to skip doing the real work.
yeah,
And right, because then it's easy, because then it becomes right. Like obviously, there's real situations where brands grossly underpay influencers and all of that and ask for the world. But a lot of times, it's like, oh, well, this brand didn't pay me the money I asked for, and it's like, well, I mean, did you leverage properly? Were you even in a position to ask for what you wanted? And it's like having content and followers is not enough because there has to be very obvious value there as well.
Yeah. I think and it also keeps you just aligned with your audience. You know, it when you know exactly who your person is, you know good and heck well
Mhm. Oh
that
yeah.
all of a sudden you doing fill in the blank. I don't even know. Like,
Yep. Well, I'll give this little nugget, because I think I really do want people to feel confident about pricing and when they're pitching brands and stuff like that. I think that's why I do teach. But it's like, who is your persona, right? Because that's really where you need, like, who is the person you're serving, right? For us, it's Sarah. Sarah is a fictional character, right? She is in her early 30s. She has more than one kid. She has two kids. She watches Insecure. She loves Beyonce. She has Michelle Obama's book. She has a subscription to O Magazine. She has a couple of Aisha Curry's cookbooks, right?
Mhm.
So when I create content or I have a brand partnership, is this the kind of content or brand partnership that Sarah would pay attention to?
Mhm.
If it don't serve Sarah, we're not doing it
Well, Matt,
because it comes down to the persona.
so you guys know what you where did you learn that? You learned that last week. We talked about the people we're called to serve. We talked about that last week and getting really, really clear, right? I serve Sandy. If I don't think if I don't think this thing is gonna truly be of value and a benefit to Sandy, I'm not gonna do it. So I say no to more things that end up in my email box because I'm like, what is Sandy gonna think? What would Sandy think? Or how would Sandy feel? Or
Is
do I
Sarah gonna think I'm crazy?
yeah.
Sarah gonna think I'm tripping. So let me go. Sarah ain't gonna be talking about me. That's really my goal. Sarah ain't finna be talking about me, right? And you guys know which connotation of talking I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Where it's like, oh, y'all saw Maddie on Instagram? She was tripping.
right.
She's not gonna be talking about me.
Right.
So I always do think about it because what also that forces you to do is when you establish a persona and who you're serving, it pulls you out of the center. And until you pull yourself out of the center, you're gonna be aimlessly because you're not the person you're making the content for. You're not. I don't follow myself. It's literally impossible to do that. I cannot, yes, I can double tap myself, but I'm not reading my content. That don't make no sense.
But I kept saying last week during Committed to the Call, it's like, be reminded this is not about you. It's not just about you. You have to think about the person that you are here to serve. And as long as we put Sarah and Sandy first, that really does help navigate. That helps us to navigate and stay in our, it's not about staying in your lane because I don't want anyone to just feel like they're in a box. But for me, I do believe it's kept me in integrity. Been
Yes.
very,
Yes.
very helpful with just keeping me in integrity because it's not about, oh, what can they pay me? That's not
Right.
the question I
Right. 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 Also, too, we're really fortunate. I mean, yes, there are some wild things happening in the world today. Please believe I am very aware of that. And on the other side of that, it's like we live in a time where it has never been easier, one, to start a business, but to start a business making the kind of, I mean, we talk about all the time, Maya and I'm like, we're making the kind of money that I don't even think my grandmother could even conceptualize, honestly, right? And yeah, it's just like it is insane. And I make the money. And I am shocked. And I say it all the time to people. I say, I just will never truly, I will never be jaded by this because I know how much I wanted it. I think about the newlywed 20 something year old I was living in our little 3-bedroom house in Atlanta and thinking about just what it would be like, you know what I mean? And so when a brand says, "Hey, we want to pay you $132,000 to post 3 times on Instagram," trust me, it's not anything where I'm like, "Yeah, sure." It's just nothing. I'm never jaded by it. It is always cool. It is always I'm sometimes I have to hold myself back because I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Mm.
It seems high, but if that's what you want to give, I'm happy to receive. But it really is about it is about the serving, right? Because it's like, okay, does this serve Sarah? Does this make her laugh? Does this help her feel more confident? Does this bring her peace? If it's not about Sarah, if I cannot serve Sarah, and the reason why naming your persona is so important is because it personalizes it, right? And so it kind of grabs grabs you by the heartstrings, because it's like, I don't want to let Sarah down. I
Mhm.
really don't.
That's
I
how I
truly
feel.
don't.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Oh my gosh, Maddie. Okay, I have to squeeze in like two more things. Okay.
I love it. I live for Q&A. I love it.
Okay. So Tiana says, how do you know which brand endorsements are legit? She's gotten a few from what she assumes are startups. They'll DM saying to reach out, offering the 50% discount
Got it.
to let the baby model their clothing. We've all seen the
Gotcha. We've all seen the DMs. Here's the two rules. Usually, there's not going to be there's not going to be the kind of money you like pay your bill money. That's what I like to call it, right? The PYB money. There's not going to be those kind of coins in DM. Now, if somebody DMs you and says, "Hey, what's the best email address?" Right, and then you give it to them, and then they send you actual correspondence. To me, typically, that's when you start talking money that like at least can cover your phone bill for a couple of months or whatnot. Um, I think the biggest thing, though, I always tell my clients to look out for, and it's something my team and I look at as well, is like, is somebody using your name? Right? Like, to me, if one, are they using your name, and are they using it? Are they using it spelled correctly? Somebody who is paying attention to that attention to detail is somebody who's actually going is probably serious enough to be taken, seriously, to put money in your bank account. Typically, if you're not saying money, if you're just like, hey, would love to partner with you, like the spam comments you see in my DMs and my comments on posts and stuff like that, I've never seriously been paid by any of them. Free product, sure, and there's nothing wrong with free product, right? That's what PR is, right? That's PR seeding. Like, they can send something to you, but also, like, offering you 50% off is also, it's like, you're Tiana, I don't know how many followers you have. I can guarantee you're worth sending your baby some free outfits. They can send your baby a couple of free shirts. So you offering me a discount is also a waste of my time. You would be better off focusing on, what, let me get better at creating this content or positioning my content for a real partnership, in my opinion. But yeah, it usually ends up being one of those like low hanging fruit kind of brands who are just automating and sending it to so many people. And so when things start to get a little bit more specific, like, hey, Tiana, like brands who even just send free stuff to my kids usually know my kid's name. They spell it correctly because they've actually done their research. And those are the brands I take seriously. And I'm willing to mention even for free if I genuinely like the product because of how they approach me. It's the same thing. It's like brands are supposed to be courting you and vice versa, right? Like, like the dude who just comes to you like, hey, mom, what's up? You looking good and stuff like that. I'm not taking you seriously. I'm not taking you seriously because one, you're gonna probably take me to Wendy's, and then be expecting something to happen. And quite honestly, Tiana, you deserve better. Okay.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Jayanne says, how do you not share too much when it comes to being an influencer and creating harmony with family life?
Great question. Um, I always encourage people to tell their story in their content. I think storytelling is probably one of the number one or one of the top three keys in positioning your content. With that being said, it's like, once you decide what parts of your stories, what storylines are going to be shared with your audience, you get to create the boundaries around that, right? Like, most of you guys, if you've been following me for the last couple of years, you guys know that I'm married to Chris. You know that he works in the business. You guys know, look what he knows what he looks like. We've been on Black Love. Like, so he's not like a hidden figure, but Chris being on camera really isn't his thing. So I don't force him to be on camera, or I don't put him in a position where he's awkward or anything like that. That's just a boundary that we've created. He has his moments where he does feel a little bit more free or a little bit more open. And I still ask his permission, like, hey, I'm vlogging. Is it okay for me to vlog right now? Or you want me to wait until you leave? Or do you want me to go into another room? And so I think it's really about making sure that really respectful boundaries are set within, your actual life, right? Like, it's the internet, right? They come second, if not third, fourth, or fifth, right? But it's like, is your family okay with it? My kids are not shy by any means. They love being on camera 80% of the time. There's a 20% of the time where they're like, Mom, I don't want to. Cool, then we're not doing it. We're not doing it. I am not about to force my kid to be on camera, right? To create some, she's not going to be in therapy 10 years from now talking about me forcing her to be on the internet. You know what I mean? So I, I'm just saying, I like Chris and the kids more than I like y'all, respectfully. And I really, really like y'all. But, I think it's just about creating healthy boundaries and, because that balance is really, really important. You want peace at home. If you ask my 6-year-old right now what we have in our house, she's going to tell you peace. We do not mess around with that. But it's really impossible to achieve balance without boundaries. And so if you have a lack of balance, it's usually your lack of boundaries telling on you.
Oh, wait, you have to say that one again. Just that last line one more time.
If you have a lack of balance, it's usually your lack of boundaries telling on you.
That's good. The lack of boundaries are telling on you. That's good. And I'll say, I'm actually a really private person. So I was not
Mhm.
a person who just kind of ran to social media. I was out of college when Facebook started. I was one of those people like, I don't know what them young people doing. I didn't, definitely didn't go straight to Instagram, right? I was like, oh, I don't know what they're doing over there. And
Oh god.
influencers were people who posted their breakfast and then what they did for lunch and then like and it was a thing all day and I'm like I am actually living my life. I am definitely not about to be I'm not the one to really document. And so
Right.
I really thought I never thought that there was anything for me in the influencer space because that's how I saw it. I didn't right and I'm a finance person so just like some people in the comments earlier they were like well if you're not a lifestyle blogger or you're not a
Right.
person, how does this even matter to you? It wasn't until through the consistency and my clarity around like I keep showing up to serve these
Mhm.
people, did brands start saying, hey, not the ones that was like, hey, we're gonna give you 10% off buy our product. Sorry, I didn't even ask you for anything, right? What are you talking about? So they start, coming up with hey, we really feel like this is a great fit. We've been watching you, or we've been listening to the podcast, or we've been reading your stuff, and really feel like this will be a great resource for.
Mm.
That's how I started to see that. Okay, I share anyway. Everything
Mhm.
that I
Mhm.
any budgeting apps back in the day, any
Yep.
like institutions that I like, I would share it anyway. It wasn't, and then it was like, oh, I could get paid to talk about it anyway. So my first several brand partnerships, Maddie, they were with brands that I used. So when they came
Mhm.
to me, I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I already used that. This is
Yeah.
perfect.
Which
Yeah.
which means that the storytelling was like spot on. The sharing was super authentic because that alignment was created there very organically. And I think the misconception is that when we say tell your story, share your story, people think we mean the whole thing. And it's like, no, you get to choose the storylines that you get to share. You're not obligated to open up your marriage to social media. Absolutely not.com/no. Nope. You do not have to do that. And also would not recommend. Just don't do it. Like if your spouse is like an extrovert, they can say, hey, keep it moving. Like, but yeah, I think it's like you don't have to share if you don't want to show your kid's face and you mostly focus on talking about makeup and skincare. Focus on that. Tell us about your journey. Like, how'd you discover makeup? And so I think it's about making sure that one, you get to decide. That's the power of being the influencer. You get to decide the story that you're telling and then how to make it relevant to your audience so there's a connection that's created.
Oh, so good. Okay, Maddie, I swear, I know you got babies. Everybody's going down for
You're
that.
fine. I was like, you know what? I'm here until 8:30. I'm ready. Like, let's do it. I
Ooh,
love
don't
Q&A.
threaten us. Don't threaten us with a good time. Wait. Okay, this is a really great question, though, and I'm sure other people would love to hear the answer. So Shelby says, for a beginner influencer just starting out, would you suggest that they delete their old content and build on it so that your followers can see your growth, or starting from fresh is better, or starting from fresh better?
I don't think delete the old content, right? Like, hopefully your driver's license isn't in any of them or any debit card numbers or anything like that. I love the old content being on there because people can really see that growth and people get really, I mean, I think you guys can agree, like the things that, Patrice and I had to say about each other is that watching each other grow and, is watching each other like start and be where we are now has been some of the most captivating and inspiring things about our relationship, you know? And so I think that's really important. And your growth is truly going to serve someone. It won't just serve you. And so don't, because the mistake that we make is that we are so attached to perfection. Gosh, you just have to get out of your head with that. The goal is connection, not perfection. And so someone can truly connect with you, right? When they see like, oh my gosh, Shelby, gosh, Shelby, I started following Shelby when she had 700 followers. I can't believe she's about to have 50K. Oh
Mm.
my gosh, I remember Shelby talking about on her YouTube page 3 years ago, she wanted to work with Mac, and now she has a Mac collection. That's the thing that's going to like get people talking about you. They're going to be your own personal marketing department. They're going to be talking about you because they were there in the beginning, you know?
Oh, I love that. I love that. I do believe though in scrubbing some of your social media with when it's just not in alignment with your brand. Because
Gotcha. If anything that's inappropriate or starts to negate your current purpose, then yes, you know what I mean? So if you used to be affiliated with the club life and maybe now you're a pastor, maybe delete some of the club pictures. It's like it's okay. It's important that they know they pastor used the club and the Lord still used them as a vessel, imperfect vessels matter. However,
right,
maybe the one with, chugging the Patron, maybe you delete it. Maybe you archive it, right?
maybe
For your own personal reflection.
correct, correct. But Shelby, that was a great question. Anita says, "Hey Anita, do you always respond when you're not interested in working with brands who reach out to you?"
Love this question, Anita. I only when it's someone that I take seriously. So again, the approach, right? So again, think about dating or people who like are interested in you, right? If somebody's like, oh, hey, gosh, I think you're gorgeous and stuff. If someone is respectful and their approach is legit, you know what? No thanks. I'm currently not interested in seeing anyone, or you know what? I'm actually currently seeing someone. I'm married. So yes, you respond to them if their approach, right? But again, if you don't say my name, like it's an automatic delete. That is an actual step. If you don't use my name, we do not respond to you. We do not respond. Because if you can't even use my name, why would you have the capacity to put money in my bank account? It's never happened. So
Well,
we just delete.
yeah.
We just do a clean wipe. Yeah.
Well,
We
Betty,
just yeah.
you can though. I've found that those are usually the brand partnerships that are the most stressful. Like when I tried it back in the
Don't
day.
make me go on a tangent. I'll have you guys all up in here until 10 because I cannot believe like I think about just like the lower amounts, like the lower amounts of the money, like, when it comes to brand partnerships, those, right now currently in my journey, it's those like, 2,500, maybe $3,500. It's such a headache working with them. It's like they're just nitpicking at everything. You'd be like, you know what, for this amount in my current stage of career, I could have just said no. I could have been with the kids eating dinner. You just think about it. And then you have brands like I was currently mentioning who just literally they give you six figures and they're the most pleasant. Like in our contract, we were scheduled 5 calls and and the calls were slated to be 30 minutes. I think the longest call has been 11 minutes. And they're like, gosh, this is so easy. We just love working with you. Just wanted to jump on and see if you need anything from us. And you're like, for $130,000, let's talk about it. Or, for $48,000, like, these people are so pleasant and easy to work with, but also too, because they typically come a lot more organized, right? The processes are a lot more clear. And I think for us, one thing I will say about our team is that we do a really good job. I think with the partnership process, I think we try to make sure that we are sending deliverables early. We're asking questions in the beginning to create clarity, to avoid any redos or to avoid any kind of extra edits. And then also just being professional and pleasant to work with. Typically I'm like one of probably 50 influencers they're working with. And then also, if you're pleasant to work with, you're on time and you're listening to them, they don't have to repeat themselves. They usually end up becoming a repeat client. And I think that's something that a lot of influencers underestimate is how much. I mean, I literally had one agent I'm not even exaggerating. I think she put $80,000 in my pocket in 2020 because it was just so easy to work with her. I showed up early. I sent her deliverables early. I was super professional anytime we were on the phone with the brand, and always knocked the content out of the park. And so, and to be clear, this was one agent who worked with three different brands. So this isn't was the same brand. It was just because this agent took a liking to me, and it just ended up being really easy to work with a variety of brands. And so I do typically always respond because a lot of times though no can be like, and we'll try to be a little bit, we're concise. So if it's a yes, let's move forward, or if it's a no, we try to say no. Typically, Maddie does this for a rate of this. Please keep us in mind if the budget aligns for the next project, and sometimes it will. And so, because we were professional and because we actually responded, they're like, hey, you know what? We actually are working with this brand. It could be the same brand or a different brand. And we actually do have this budget. Would this be something that she would like to do? And so the professionalism, even if you are declining, is so important because also on the other side of that, whether it's an agency or you're working with the brand directly, you're talking to another person and people want to work with people who are pleasant to work with. And so if you can be that, I mean, if people like you, they're going to pay you. Just saying. So even when you're saying no, I think you're on mute, baby. I think you're on mute.
I was just, you know what? Okay. So I start all my brand partnerships though with letting people know I want to be one of the easiest people you've ever worked with. I want to make you look like a rock star for finding me. So I'm going to make sure that I do what I need to do so that we both shine, right? And so that Sandy is completely served. So we're going to have a win-win-win. That's what I tell people up front. I also think that if you already have your rates somewhat established, right, and you know what you charge to do your thing, when people hit you up and it's not in alignment, we found that people will change their scope of work to fit what I have available. So they may come to you with like, oh, this is what we were thinking. And I said, well, I have a minimum, right? Because I've learned through the years, you're not gonna kill me for $2,000. Not today, friend. You could have
Guys, if you can't cover my payroll, we can't do it, respectfully.
now,
If y'all can't cover this tuition.
but let me tell you, I remember though, and I can only say that because I remember jumping through hoops for $200 and I was more than grateful because it taught me that it was possible. And that was the thing. So I'm not knocking $2,000 because I know that is amazing, right? But
Yep.
let's be real, as your career evolves and you can start to, demand more, you have a greater demand in the marketplace, you can say yay or nay. And we've said,
Yep.
oh, no, unfortunately, thank you so much for thinking of me. Unfortunately, that doesn't fall in alignment with my minimum because my
Yep.
schedule is packed and my yes has to make a lot of sense. I can't just say yes to everything just because I'm excited. I'm not excited just to be invited to the table anymore. I've built a
Oh,
table.
girl, I
I've
almost hung up. But I'm not going to disappoint you people. I'm not going to do that here today.
right? But so you're like, okay, well the table is here, right? We've got the table, and
The
you came
table's here.
for a reason. Now I will say though, to back to Anita's question, if you start a DM message with "Hi Patricia," more than likely it gets deleted.
Again, those little details.
It
Those
gets
little details. If you call me Maggie, it's all bets off. It's all bets off because it's clearly two T's, not two G's. So it's just like
what you
it's
can call Maggie friend. So Maggie, Patricia.
Maggie or Maddie with D's. And I sometimes will let that slide because I know that if you do like a voice to text thing, that's
Mm,
how voice to text, but it's like still, I need you to catch that. I need you to catch that. I just, and also like nobody's mama named them for you to get it wrong.
right, just be respectful. Don't
Just
tell me how much you value my work in the marketplace, but you don't value my name.
girl.
Like that doesn't sit well with me at all. So for me, that's usually, and you DM me with email. So you haven't really researched much about me. You saw a few maybe hashtags or something on Instagram and you assume that I talk about a certain thing and I
Mm,
don't.
mm.
So if I were just out here slanging all things that had to do with money, right? Maybe, but because I'm speaking to Sandy, where I believe Sandy is and what she enjoys, just because you think I should talk about stocks or any of these other things that are not necessarily my sweet spot, no. But when you don't know me, so and I know you don't know me because you started with Patricia, but I'm gonna get off that. You know, I get real sensitive.
Because no, because Patricia is just not your name. It's just never been,
Yeah.
not since I've known you.
So, okay, Maddie, this is the last one.
Okay.
And Miss Adams, because I'm not going to mess up names. I got a few DMs yesterday about a few
Okay.
names that
Is it Kanina? I think it's Kanina,
see
which I
this
love,
doing
but
because
I could be wrong.
we may be wrong, but we know Adams. One thing I could say is Adams. So Miss Adams, how do you organically attract your audience and clients in a saturated online community?
Oh, I love this question. Love it. Mostly because the answer is pretty cut and dry. You just have to be consistent because most people are not, right? And then the consistency will start to attract certain people who keep on showing up every time you're showing up. And what happens is, especially nowadays, right? Because we have share buttons and different things like that, is the people who are following you, when you keep on showing up, they tell other people, oh my gosh, she keeps on showing up. And she posts about her cute baby and like the clothes that she puts in her baby, or she talks about her vegan journey or whatnot. And so it's the consistency. Most people are not consistent. They're not. And then you barely even see the consistent people because the way this algorithm is set up. So it's definitely the consistency just between how straight up marketing works and then how the algorithm works, you know? And so I think, being consistent and actually, being clear on your voice and being clear on like, and coming from a place of like service. And again, it's not deep, it's just deliberate, where it's just like, yo, I want Sarah to know about all the flyest outfits that are under $150. I want Sandy to know about all of the budget apps, you know what I mean, that are available for her and serving her family. It's really about having a sense of intentionality. And the thing is, it's usually hard for people to be consistent because they don't have anyone they're talking to. And then what happens is, it's like you're not trying to serve, you're trying to serve yourself. And if you try to serve yourself, you will be inconsistent because self-serving is just a black hole of disappointment.
Where's my church fan? I don't need to fan you off. Oh my gosh. That's so good, Maddie. And it's true. It just comes back to you. You really echoed so much of what we talked about last night. Like not last night, but last
Last week.
in the Committed to the Call challenge. You've echoed so much of those same sentiments. And I just really want to be clear that no matter what you want to do in the marketplace, the reason that Maddie and I sound so similar, even though we've had our own journeys, right? We sound similar because the foundation is the same. You got to be clear.
There has to be a foundation. Let's start there. There has to be a foundation, right? But
Yeah.
what's happening, right, especially as an influencer, right? Like, at least even as like if you're trying to be a coach, or if you're trying to be like, sell a physical product, as an influencer, we start to build this very delicate house of cards in a
Mhm.
windy tunnel, you know what I mean, on a paper plate. And then you'd be like, oh, I don't understand why it's not working out, right? And then you're inconsistent. So you're inconsistent. So you just once a week you put a card up.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, there's no foundation because you haven't gotten clear on who you're serving and why you're serving.
I-
And I know that's why you guys are here with Patrice. Like, why are you serving? What's the purpose? It
Right.
doesn't, it's for me, and I think a lot of times, especially because I've been doing this for so long, I think people are just like, oh, well, style and beauty, and now she has kids, so that's how it's become that. But it's like the base of it is like, me being able to do it means you can do it too. So that's the whole point. I show you that you can get this shirt from Target because I did it. So that means you can do it too. They told me I would not ever get pregnant because I had fibroids. I had 3 babies. You can do it too. My marriage was on the rocks in 2016. Like, I moved out of the house. Like, I left for 45 days, and he's the COO of my company,
Come
right?
on.
That means you can do it too.
Mhm.
But this is why I'm able to show up every single day for Sarah, because it is so vital to me to make sure Sarah knows that she can do it too, whether it's a Target top or it's being enthusiastic to make sure her marriage survives. My goal is just to show you that you can do it too.
That was so good.
Thank you,
That was
friend.
so good. I love it. I love it. Girl, I just love you. So good.
I
So
love
good.
you so much. It's unbearable. It's unbearable. You excite me. You light me on fire. You get me excited about showing up with a sense of enthusiasm for my purpose, and even on the hard days to continue through. And it is an honor for you to even share me with your audience, share your audience with me. I hope people were served. And when I was praying today, I was just like, before I got on this call, I was just like, you know what? I want to make sure that I am suppressed, and that, Lord, you just use me as the imperfect vessel that I am, and make sure that people, leave better than they came, because I got to cross paths with Patrice. So I appreciate you so much.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. Girl, I'm gonna text you tomorrow. I'm gonna text
I'm gonna
you.
be in your text tomorrow too.
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you, Maddie. You
Of
guys
course.
follow Maddie at the Maddie James, on the Maddie James on Instagram, and just like you'll get a feel instantly of just what's possible. And again, I've just watched Maddie grow so much over these last several years, and I just think the work that she does is phenomenal. The integrity is always there, always on point. And even how she just was able to weave in bits and pieces of her story, you obviously see it's bigger than clothes, right? It's bigger than, oh, look at this tchotchke thing. It's
Yeah.
not that. There's true intention, and purpose in everything that she does. And that is just simply what we want for you. Like I want that for more people. But you
Yeah.
have to be committed, right?
You
You have to
do.
be consistent. You have to be dedicated to getting clarity. You can't keep allowing yourself to spiral in these cycles of confusion, right? You have to put yourself around some folks that have the capacity to actually support you,
That
right?
part.
And hold you in these spaces. And we talked about this last week in her illustration of the house of cards on the flimsy plate. We said no flaky, no faulty, no flimsy foundation, thinking that you will build an empire. That's not how that works. And you, my friend, illustrated all of that tonight. So thank you. I appreciate you. Please tell your family thank you for, let
Of
me borrow you
course.
in the evening time. I know that's precious time. I appreciate you, friend, so
Thank
much.
you so much. Bye, guys. Have a good night. Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Oh my gosh. So good. I'm sorry. I just clicked and made sure I know you've been sitting here. Was Maddie not amazing?
Yes, she was. She was awesome.
She
I'm
was
like, how do I come on after that? No.
She was amazing. Listen, you guys, that is an example of a master mentor session. And again, we have 3 master mentor sessions already planned for you, for this next cycle of P2P. But master mentor sessions are really like folk be getting their life together in some of these sessions, depending on how it goes. Everyone is different. Some people just do a straight up training. Some of them we do the side by side kind of Q&A style, just whatever makes people comfortable. But the biggest thing is to see the example. They got clarity, they were committed, they were consistent. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over again, and they are sold out for their own stories. They're not hiding their stories and hiding things. And so, Amasia, I wanted you to come up real quick, because I know you were in last cycle
Yes.
of P2P. Someone said, "Okay, Amasia, camera ready." Um, camera ready when that switch happened. Because Stephanie, I definitely set my friend up. I wasn't supposed to just click on her, but I got excited. I got too excited. Um,
If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. That's the thing.
Right. Come on. That's right, P2P alum. Okay, so Amasia, you came into Purpose the Platform this last cycle. You graduated in March, right? You were part of the December challenge. What would you say Master Mentor Sessions? I know you want to share a little bit about your experience in P2P, but how do you feel like Master Mentor Sessions kind of just helped you throughout your P2P experience?
Well, Master Mentor Sessions helped me a lot. One in particular was Doreen Rainey got me all together. Excuse me. I'm sorry. She got me all together when she talked about information gathering. I loved all the master mentors, but she was the one that I needed at that particular time in my life, because that lecture that she gave, it changed my whole entire world. She just basically talked about how we gather all this information. We probably be on YouTube watching all these videos, Googling all types of information, and then we never do anything with it. And by her saying that, I literally, when she was speaking, I'll never forget. And I have my notebook right here of some of the things she said, but I started crying because I thought that I was the only one that was going through that. It was almost like a disease, and I had been healed that day. So it was just very imperative, and I'm so glad that you had those master mentor sessions, for the simple fact that not every time, the coaches are awesome and great, but everybody has different perspectives as to how they deal with things. And I always resonated with you, Patrice, of course, and the coaches. But Doreen Rainey, she just really touched my heart, and it changed my whole entire life. When I tell you, I had like so many journals of information. It was insane. It was years and years of stuff. And I ended up going back through all of that information, pulling out ideas and reminding myself of things that I had totally forgot about, because I was constantly chasing the next thing. Like, what can I do next? And watching the same information over and over again, watching the same people, listening to the same thing being repeated. And I already had the tools to do it. So I know I harp on that one a lot, but that one really changed my life for real. And it helped me to help my children as well, so they wouldn't do the same thing.
Yeah, so good. I love Doreen. Doreen is my personal one of my business besties for sure. And I really do like those sessions because like you said, our coaches are very much acclimated in our community too. And so I like to have that fresh perspective from outside our immediate community. Like I want to hear other voices. So I think Chris Harder might have been a master mentor during your season. We talked about money and adding additional streams to what you're doing and how you position that. But I love having just those extra, because we're in the same space so much. So it's always about bringing in new people and new ideas. So,
Yes.
Amesha, what was your overall, what were your big takeaways from Purpose to Platform? Why
Purpose to
Purpose to Platform?
You said, why did I what?
Why did you
Why
come
did
up
I
with
enroll?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So I basically had launched a challenge back in November of 2020, 90 days to 50. And three of the things that the people in my community had to do in order to celebrate with me, because I wanted to give the gift of presence. And well, I wanted the gift of presence. I wanted people to be present. I didn't want material, physical things. They had to follow you. They had to join the 90-day challenge. I mean, the 5-day challenge, which I didn't even know you were hosting. It was just all aligned, like God really aligned that. And then I had them to, it was something else that they had to do. But that's how I ended up in the 5-day challenge. And by me being in the 5-day challenge, I ended up signing up for Purpose to Platform, which I really have a story for that.
You have a story about how you signed up, or because you were not in
Yeah.
signing up, you just were coming to the challenge.
I didn't even know. So I won't say I didn't know, because I did know about Purpose the Platform. I just couldn't afford it. And I didn't know that you had a payment program. So I was one of those people, which I'm sure you guys are there in the chat. You're praying for the scholarship. I mean, I was on my prayer mat, like, God, please give it to me. I promise I won't disappoint you if I just win the scholarship. And I heard him clear as day. He was like, no, you're not getting a scholarship. Get over it, because me and God have a certain type of way we talk to each other. This is what I heard. His whole thing was, you have been praying to be consistent with money. So therefore, I'm not giving you the scholarship. What's going to happen is she's offering a payment program. You're going to sign up for that, and you're going to pay monthly, and you're not going to be late. You're going to be consistent with those payments, and you will do as you are told. And that was just the bottom line. So I signed up, I think, the last day.
Did you?
Yes,
You. Oh
I
my God.
did.
You came in with the enthusiasm of someone who signed up the first day. You were on
Yeah.
it.
Thank
Like
you.
from the beginning. I feel that though. I do feel that for some people, it's more of you literally committing or recommitting to what you've been called to do.
Yes.
It's like we make it about the money, but it's not that. It's and I know people are like, oh, you got money. It's easy to say. No. Like I because I was that person before my career started to grow again and all those things, and the money wasn't necessarily a challenge. It was, when I didn't have it, and I went to Gerald and I was like, I need a coach and I want this person to coach me, and it's $2,000. And he was like, coach you with what? You don't play basketball no more. I don't understand. What are you talking about? You need a coach. Because he didn't really understand. He didn't really understand this whole personal development world and all those things. And I was so like, if I sow this seed, I know that I'm going to go all in and commit to doing the work. Because,
Yes.
when we're in that information gathering stage, we think we're going to do something with what we gathered. In our
Mhm.
mind, oh, I'm taking these notes ferociously. I am taking these notes ferociously. We think that that's going to like make us actually commit to doing the work. No. When I had to figure out how to come up with that $2,000 for my first coach, I was at every call they had. I was doing everything that they said to do. And what came out of that was my first book.
Yes.
What came out of that was my first book, and how that has, how that just launched so many things in my life. That is $2,000 I would pay over and over again, because what I got out of it was not everything, but I got a lot of things that did start to change everything, right? But it was because that transaction, I'm glad that I didn't get to go to that program that I went to for free, because I don't think I would have taken it seriously.
Yeah, that's something. And my husband did. And really, I don't consult with him. I have been trying to get better. It was a lot of things I was changing in my life. I'm going to consult with my husband when I make big purchases. I'm going to make sure that I watch my money. And I had told him, I'm like, don't let me sign up for anything. That's what I told him. I said, don't let me do anything extra. And so when I went to him and I said, I'm going to sign up for this coaching program, and he was like, no, you're not. He was like, you can't do that. What are you doing that for? You're supposed to be paying off debt. I was like, yeah, but this is an investment. I've always looked at certain things, like when I went to college. I didn't look at that as college debt. I looked at it as investment. When I signed up for Purpose the Platform, I looked at that as personal development. So I was just like, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. Let me call my 20-year-old son, the one who really tells me the truth, right? The one who's more like me. He's more rational with things. I knew what he would say, but he's super honest. And I was like, yo, listen to this. I need to enroll in this coaching program. This is how much it costs. What do you think? And of course, he asked me questions. Well, who is she? Where do you know her from? Is she valid? Have you researched her? I'm like, she was on the Steve Harvey show, for heaven's sake. And I've been following her for 3 years, and she's excellent. I have your girlfriend listening to her. So then him and her started talking, and she's like, oh, is your mom going to sign up for this coaching program? She was excited, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And my son was like, well, do you think that you're going to get anything from it? Yes. He asked me 3 questions. What do you think you're going to get from it? I told him. Then he said, is it worth the money? I said, it's really worth $20,000. That's what I felt it was worth at the time. Just to have you to be in our space. You know what I mean? Considering what you've done. And then he asked me, do you have the money? Can you afford it? And I'm like, yes, I can afford it. You know, I was scared a little bit about the whole payment thing, but I also am a believer in God. And you can't sit here and keep praying for things, and then your prayer is answered, and then suddenly you still asking, are you sure? Are you sure? You know what I mean? So I went on ahead and took that leap of faith, especially after I talked to my son, because he's amazing. Like, he makes great decisions for a person his age. And I'm glad that I consulted with him. I love my husband, but I didn't just be like, you know what, okay, let myself off the hook, and then didn't invest that money. That was the best investment that I've ever made.
Amasia, but you said let myself off the hook. And
Yes.
some people, I'm gonna keep it real. I think some of us talk to people that we know are going to say, no, you don't need that, or you could do something else, or what about this, or what about that, because we want to be let off the hook, because it's easier, it's not as scary. Like I've heard from several people over the last couple of days that have already enrolled in P2P, and they're sending me messages like, I just want you to know I'm really scared. I'm excited, but I'm also very scared because I've never done anything like this, or I've never worked with a coach, or I've never been in a community and all these things. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be scary. It's the unknown. We ask you on the day one, trust the process. You're gonna
Yes.
go up and down in your emotions and your feelings, but just trust that we're here. Like we're here to still create this container for you, but it's gonna be scary. What we do is go to people who confirm our scariness. And we're like,
Yes.
see, this is why I knew it wasn't time. And it's like, really? Really, you went to someone who you knew was going to confirm your scariness. I love that you also checked in with your son, because you trust his opinion. Um,
Most definitely.
so, Amisha, you had some good takeaways during your time in P2P. Some physical manifestation of things came about, but just share what your journey was like through P2P and what were some of your big takeaways.
Okay, so through P2P, I came to P2P to basically learn how to market better. I remember my video when I made it. I needed to learn public relations, how to become a better promoter of my brand on social media. And I also had a children's book in me that I needed to get out, and I was having such a hard time. And I know how important community is. The thing with me is I come from community, of course. I'm in a sorority. I have been in network marketing. I won't do any plugs here, but surely not. But I know the importance of community. I know I was in a mastermind group when I came into P2P, so I know how important that is. And when I was in P2P, I showed up every day because I needed to make sure that I got everything that I needed. And I did. I got everything that I needed and more. The important takeaways that I got the most is about sloppy progress. Like, regardless if you're scared, do it scared, just get it done, regardless. I learned how to be very consistent because I had a real big problem with procrastinating. Like, I can spit out content, I can spit out information, I can write books, I can do blogs, I own a daycare center, I can do all of this stuff, right? But I had a problem with being consistent in certain areas. And in order for you to get results, you have to be consistent in certain things. And one of the reasons that I wasn't as consistent, especially on social media, is because when I would make posts or I would have conversations with friends that were supposed to be personal and private, the next thing I would see was them pretty much taking things that I was doing and doing it for themselves. Or when I was on YouTube or Instagram, I would come up with an idea because I've always been an innovator, and I would see people kind of like run with it, and I would get pissed. I tell you, I'm like, they're stealing my content. I did that. You know what I mean? Thinking that I'm the only one that have these ideas. And sometimes that's not true.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But the one thing, Patrice, that you taught me that I will never forget, and it changed my life, just like with Doreen with the information gathering, is that there will be a lot of people that do what you do, but they don't have that secret sauce. You know what I'm saying? Like McDonald's. McDonald's, I don't eat McDonald's, by the way, but they have that secret sauce. And that's why they're still around, because people love that Big Mac and that secret sauce on there. And so that's how I looked at that. And I took that and ran like a marathon. I'm in a marathon right now because once I discovered, you know what? Those people, they can talk about the same content as I'm talking about. I can even have a conversation with the friend. And if she wants to use something that I said, that's totally fine. But I have the secret sauce. There's always more where that comes from. And they'll never be able to spin it the way that I do. My confidence was like boosted 350%. So I had a total mindset shift. Then I was able to also explain that to my kids. Everything that I learned in P2P, I shared with my children just so I can give them a head start, the head start that I didn't have. So thank you. Again, I always tell you how awesome you are, but I really don't think you have an idea as to how you impacted my life. So much so, and to the fact I could believe, I'm not even going to say that. And this isn't me being arrogant. I could believe that I was a coach because I spoke that into existence when I had my coach last year. I was like, I wonder how did she become a coach? I want to be a coach. I have a habit of biting off more than I can chew, but I know things that I'm great at and what I can do in order to help other people. So it's just amazing how I started out back in December of 2020, and then here we are right now having this conversation. Come on.
I
This
full
is all you. Like for real. Of course, I had to do some work, and
Yeah.
God had already put that together. But you know, I had a glimpse of you in 2015 on Generation One. I didn't even know that was the setup then. You said some very important things. You were talking about generational wealth for African Americans. And I had so many takeaways then with my information gathering self. I have notes on that. But that was just a introduction that wasn't even formal. And I was like, I'm gonna know her. Ask my husband. I did. I Googled you that day. I was like, she's a Pisces, just like me. It was just certain little things, you know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
like, at the end of the day, I know that personality. I recognize that. And I never want to be like other people, but I do aspire to take away certain things and learn from people, you know? So thank you so much for the opportunity. I truly do appreciate you.
Oh my gosh, I appreciate you. And where's your children's book? You actually did do the children's book. So you came with one in your spirit, but
Yeah.
what actually ended up happening?
So right now I'm working on PR with one of my our P2P sisters, which is awesome. Had I not enrolled in Purpose to Platform, the book probably would not have gotten done. And then I wouldn't have met Tanisha. And right now it's still at the illustrators because he had a lot of books. He was like on backlog. I think he bit off more than he could chew, but it's okay because I always say that it's not about my timing. It's about when it's supposed to come out. So everything's done. I have the printers lined up, all of that. I'm just waiting for him to put those finishing touches on and for me to start putting out my ads. So everything is lining up and I'm super excited. It's coming out in October. That's why I'm like, everything happens for a reason because it's going to be released. What will it be? 20 years that I've had my family daycare business. It's going to come out on October 16th.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations. And you had the idea to do it for how long? How
I'm
long did you
sorry, what did
want to do a book?
you said how long did it take me?
How long did you have that idea before you
Oh
came
my
to
gosh. Oh, probably 20. Okay, my oldest son's 29, 26 years. 26 years. And my husband, that's the thing. He's like, when are you gonna write the book? When are you gonna write the book? Because we come from a family that reads, and we have like my mother-in-law left us an inheritance of books. So that was always the plan to have a resource center to help children to have high self-esteem, make sure that we affirm them and just teach them through reading because I feel in order to save the parents, most often you have to save the children because the children will grow up to help out the parents if the parents never figure it out. That's
Yeah.
the market that I have to tap into to make sure. So that book sat there for that long. And for me to just get it out that quick, it was nothing but divine intervention. Like everything that God promised me by me signing up with this program, it came out. It did because it had no choice but to. I had no choice but to. I refuse to disappoint him. I will not do that ever.
Oh,
Or my
so good.
coaches, you know.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. I remember that I thought you were gonna say 10 years. I didn't remember how long, but I remember when you said it, when you were like, I finally sat down and I just start boom, going through it. And you were like, yeah, I've been wanting to do this for so many years, and I just submitted to an editor. Like I found my illustrator, and you just
Yes.
start moving. Just things just started to accelerate. That makes me so happy.
Yes.
Okay, so Amisha, I'm about to do some giveaways. I have some scholarships that I want to give away tonight from you, from your heart to anyone who's listening and they're thinking about P2P as a next best step. What do you want to say?
What I would like to say is if you are ready to rediscover exactly who you are and what you have come here to do, exactly what your purpose is, if you need clarity, if you need community, if you need encouragement, whatever that is, if you're unsure, if you have doubt, if you feel like you're overwhelmed in your life, you know that it's something more that you are supposed to do here on this earth. Purpose to Platform is the most magical experience that you can have. I always describe Purpose to Platform as vegan food. It's organic, It's magical and it's yummy goodness. So, what are you waiting for? You have to take that leap. If you are thinking about it and it's here in your heart, you need to just go ahead and get in the program. That's the bottom line. No ifs, ands, or buts. Just jump in.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I actually, I wanted to bring up this first 50% off scholarship to P2P because I remembered as you were speaking that the person is actually from your group. I was like,
Oh,
I
nice. Oh my God,
just
that's so
get you
awesome.
to line up. So you can actually help me
Okay.
with congratulating them, if they decide to actually come into P2P. So the winner of the 50% off scholarship to our next cohort of Purpose to Platform. Amasha, you could drum roll with me. I'm always by myself. Let's drum roll. Becky Arzu. Becky Arzu from
Oh my God. I
Team.
know. I'm sorry, Patrice. I have to scream. I know that she is gonna accept. I see her right here. She's there.
She's here.
Yes, this is oh my God. Do you know how wonderful this is? I didn't get the scholarship last year and I prayed for it, but somebody on the team that I coached, Team A in the building, you got 50% off, Becky. You have to tell Patrice that you accept though.
Becky, are you here? Oh, there she is. Wait, no, I'm sorry. I hit Stephanie. Stephanie was saying, "Go, Becky." I think I see. Oh, here we go. Congratulations, Becky. She said, "I accept." Yes. So yeah. And so what Shanti's been doing too is been going through homework, dropping all the names in. So we're really now pulling names from any point from last week. So not just day 5, but any point last week. So if you showed up for 3 or more homework assignments, then you were definitely in the drawing. And so I wanted to, give 250% off scholarships tonight. And I was like, oh, Coach Amasha, wait a minute. So thank you, Amasha, for loving on your team for this last week. And we have a few more things for them this week. But thank you for showing up and for encouraging and for going live and oh my gosh, encouraging everyone the way that you have and for sharing your story. I just appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
You encourage me. You really do, and I'm excited
Oh,
about
that's
what's continue to happen.
I'm flattered. That's a pleasure, Patrice. Thank you. I
I'm
appreciate
flattered.
you a lot.
I'm flattered. I'm flattered. I love what Maddie said earlier about an imperfect vessel. Like I'm still so grateful that I get to show up and do this with you guys, and I'm not perfect, and I'm always the first to be like, listen. Remember, she said, not deep, y'all deep. We need to be
Mhm.
disciplined and we need to be deliberate. I'm just really grateful that I get to do this, and my obedience is an example to you know other women in the community of what's possible. So I'm really excited. I can't wait to see your children's book.
Thank
um
you.
and go love on Becky Arzu in them comments, please.
I will. I will most definitely.
Thank you, Amasha.
Thank you.
See you
Have a
later.
good day.
You too. So excited. Congrats to Becky. Congrats to Becky. Welcome to Purpose to Platform. Chauncey will definitely reach out with what you need to do to sign up and take advantage of your 50% off scholarship. Oh, Becky, you're Belizean too. That's right. You dropped the flags yesterday. Come on, girl. Yes. Is that you? Yeah. I'm so excited for you. Welcome to Purpose to Platform. It's going to be an amazing experience. I'm really excited for you. And I have one more. So I didn't just come to give Becky her scholarship. Let me not sing. Remember, passion is not my proficiency. We have one more 50% off scholarship for tonight. And I know I recognize this name. She's from Coach Patrice's team. And drum roll, I need some drums. I can do my own. I'm in the podcast booth, so it sounds a little better here. We have another 50% off scholarship. I see some drums. Thank you, Winnell. Thank you for participating with my drum roll. I think everyone else gave up on me. But Our second scholarship, thank you, Janae, Serena, Stephanie, thank you. Our second scholarship tonight, 50% off, is from Coach Patrice, Team Patrice, and it's Teresa Scotland. Teresa Scotland, if you're here, and I know this has been long, so it's okay. Oh my gosh, Teresa was saying drum. It's you. You are the winner. You are the winner. Your name got pulled today to receive a 50% off scholarship to Purpose to Platform, Teresa. So all you have to do, I know you're here, but do you accept? That's the question. I literally just said it's me. It's you. It's you. So you spoke that into existence, huh? It's you. Yes. And we pull these names at like 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So no idea of knowing who's going to be here and all those things at all. So congratulations, Teresa. If you want to be a part of our Purpose to Platform Sisterhood, hopefully this is an opportunity for you to come in and to get the support that you need and to be a part of our community. So congratulations. Those are the two giveaways that I have for tonight. I just want to remind you as well that the fast action bonus that I extended until tonight, right? It was supposed to be through yesterday, but I wanted to give so many of you an opportunity to get on calls today with Coach MH and Coach Megan and just see if you could get your questions answered, your specific questions answered, and see if you were ready to make Purpose to Platform, like make it a yes, like make it official. And so they have been doing calls all day, I know, and I know we've welcomed in quite a few more people. But remember the fast action bonus to come to Position to Prosper, which is going to be kind of more like Master Mentor Session, but it's going to be more like a summit, if you will, with myself, with Ty Beauchamp, Rachel Luna, and Kathy Heller, all pouring in and just getting you ready to prosper, right? Positioning you to prosper in the marketplace. That goes away tonight. There is a great opportunity that there is a great possibility that you will be able to buy tickets to it. So in like a month when I get that together, you'll be able to buy tickets to it. But right now, it's just I'm reserving complimentary tickets for people who have come into Purpose to Platform from last week until this moment. So yes, if you're still on the fence, if you still have questions, let us know the questions. I can stick around for like another 12 minutes. Anyone else who's ready to drop off, like, God bless you guys. I hope you really, really enjoyed Maddie James tonight. I hope that it opens you up to some new possibilities for your life and what you can do and just what's an opportunity, like how your platform can evolve. We're going to be consistent, right, with the things that we have right now, but how can that platform evolve? I hope that that you got some great ideas today and that it opens you up. I'm not sure when I don't see who said it. It just said, where's the link? I'm not sure which link you're referring to. But if anyone can drop purpose2platform.com in the chat, that would be really helpful. I don't think mine's go. Let me see if I can do that. Purpose2platform.com. You'll see information about Position to Prosper. The complimentary ticket does go away tonight. It goes away tonight, but you may have an opportunity to join later. It'll just be at a cost, right? But if you know you're going to come into P2P, just come do your thing tonight. Go on ahead and get in. Thank you guys so much for adding Purpose to Platform for me. So excited. I can't wait to really see everyone that said yes on our welcome orientation on Sunday. But again, listen, these Master Mentor Sessions, fire. Coaching, fire. Community, fire. And if you want to stay in momentum and continue to build, like if you keep listening to these master mentors, you're going to hear a lot of common threads around the ones that are successful and have been doing what they've been doing for a while. You're going to hear some common threads, right? And it all comes down to having a strong foundation. And what so many people want to do is get out there and do essentially the busy work. You want to do the thing that looks glamorous. P2P is not about doing what's glamorous, but it is about doing the thing that's going to gain you clarity. It is about doing the thing that is going to give you clarity. It's about doing the thing. It's the hard work. It's hard work and heart work. It's easy to just post. It's easy to make something look pretty. It's easy to throw up a website. The truth is, most people who come into P2P realize that their website said absolutely nothing about nothing in the first place. They end up redoing the whole website, or they end up, not necessarily changing the whole shell, but having to change all the verbiage because you realize, oh, I've just been doing busy work, but have I really been building a strong foundation? And again, I know some of you are like, this was so exciting. I'm going to go out and just do all the things. I know that it feels like you're staying in action. I just want to, man, I just really want to encourage you to take the right next step. You can do this by yourself, but I'm telling you, it's going to take so much longer, right? I'm telling you, it's just like Amisha said, having a book in your spirit for 26 years, but then coming into a space that allows you to finally birth that thing in 12 weeks. Like in 12 weeks, she was able to get clarity, start moving it forward. And no, it's not completely done. And she's been out of P2P, right? But it's at the illustrators. It's in motion. For 26 years, it was an idea. For 26 years, it was something to talk about. But I mean, my goodness, some of you all have talked about things for so long. When are you going to allow yourself to actually step into it? When are you going to allow yourself to actually step into it? Raina, yeah, there's a lot of people who come into P2P and don't have anything. That, like we've said before, there's people who come in at every stage. Sandra Graham is a great example. She was on the podcast not too long ago. She came into P2P with a full business that was launched on Oprah's platform and still didn't feel fulfilled. So she came to P2P to refine her message, but she already had followers and she already had all the things, right? And then you have people like we said on the Q&A last night. How many people on the Q&A said, "Oh, I didn't have a business. I didn't have anything. I just had this idea that I was called to serve people in a particular way." And then they came in. See, Coach Roberta is like, "Hey, that was me. I didn't have anything." Yeah, I didn't have anything. Definitely, people are not just discover it, Stephanie. People are going to come in, right? And finally embrace the thing that's probably been in front of them the whole time. That's the amazing thing, is that all of a sudden, we start pulling back all the layers and the things that have kept you clouded and the things that have kept you confused and the things that have kept you making it deeper than it is. And you start to see, oh my gosh. And the thing about community is, like, when you see light bulbs going up all over, it just makes you more like, okay, now everyone's light bulb does not go off on day one. Everyone's light bulb is not going to go off on day 10. Every time you come in and you keep peeling back those layers and doing the work, right? Every time, yes, you do, Stephanie. You look cute. Every time you keep showing up and you keep doing that work, different things are going to be revealed. But what I do know is that, like, I love this. Bree is from, I don't know, Bree's from last summer, I believe. Bree, you've been around a long time. I feel like you've been around a long time. But Bree is saying, still getting clarity from P2P years later. Still getting clarity from P2P years later. This is great. Danielle, I want you to look up Erica Davenport. Danielle's question is, how do introverts not get lost in the shuffle of the program with over 100 students? First of all, no matter introvert, extrovert, ambivert, you have to come in committed to what you're called to do. Like, you really have to come in committed to, I'm going to show up maybe in ways I've never showed up before. But I'll tell you, I said, look up Erica Davenport. You can see her testimonials on purposetoplatform.com. She says this space is for introverts too. When Erica started with Purpose to Platform, she never would turn her screen on. We would be on Zoom calls and I could see her name, but I didn't even know what she looked like. And I'm telling you, it was weeks into it that she finally turned her camera on. And I was like, there you are. Hello. Right. I'm like, you've never turned your camera on. She's like, oh, I'm always doing something. But really, she was kind of shy. But when she started to see the love in the community, right? When she was seeing the love in the community and seeing that when you speak up, you get support. We can only support what you tell us. I can't support what you hide at your house. We can only support what you tell us. But when I think people come in and they start to see that the community is genuine, Roberta, yes, Tosin Tosin is another great example. And she did command the stage. Danielle, I don't know. I'm thinking you're the same Danielle. I don't know your middle name to be Renee like that. But Tosin did command the stage. She started a podcast, right, for introverts. She started to do all kinds of things. And she still embraces the fact that she's an introvert. Introvert, ambivert, extrovert, you gotta know what you're called to do, right? And you have to know how to enroll people in the vision, and you have to be clear on the messaging. But to be honest with you, I can't come to your house and get you. But I will say the thing about a purpose to platform community is that when you start to build like that sisterhood, when you kind of try to dip out or take a step back, I don't know who, because people kind of gravitate towards their people in the program. But there's a lot of people who will tell you that if you start to hide, someone gonna come find you. And that could be a coach, depending on, if it's me and I'm aware, I'm like, wait a minute, where is so and so? I have DM people like, hello, are you okay? Like what's going on? Um, there's people who be like, hey, I'm tagging all the sisters that I haven't heard from. And so every group has kind of had people who played these different roles, who were the people like, hey, I'm looking for my folks. We haven't had a cheerleader quite like Coach Roberta, but every group has had a cheerleader. Every group has had that person that's like, hey, where's so and so, or I think we need to check on this. Um, you know, so I can't promise, I don't know, but if you're committed to showing up, we're going to show up. But you do have to let yourself be supported. And I also would say that you have to do what you need to do for you. So there's a difference between taking a step back all the way and understanding when you need to not come to the Facebook group because maybe you're overwhelmed with all the people talking. We are an active community. There's always someone posting, there's always something going on. But one of the things that Coach Kathy will talk to you about in the strategy sessions are making sure that you're setting your life up to support your process in P2P. Some people like Roberta are going to figure out how to go live, and they're going to go live every day. And then some people are just going to, do their thing when they show up to the call. You get to design this however you want. Your experience is going to be for you. Your experience is going to be whatever you want it to be. Yeah, it's going to be whatever you want it to be. Raina, I see you said I want it so badly. I might be wrong, but I think I need CTS more than P2P. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people who come into Command the Stage first end up realizing that they need purpose to platform. Because a lot of people want to speak and they don't realize that they don't have a clear message and to speak about what. And I'm not saying that's you. I'm saying this is what happens. So people come to Command the Stage, which we will be doing Command the Stage again in 2022. And then I'm very specific about how we line up our curriculum for Command the Stage. And I could tell sometimes when people don't have a very strong foundation, they struggle with Command the Stage because it requires you to be clear about your audience, about your message, about your authentic story. I'm teaching you a framework for how you deliver that message in any setting, on a virtual mic or on a stage, whether you're in a boardroom with 10 people or on a stage serving 10,000 people. I'm teaching you a framework. And people who are missing clarity around several of the elements I teach you to weave into that framework, they typically come back and do purpose to platform anyway. People who do really well in Command the Stage have already done purpose to platform because they already know all those foundational things. Now we're just adding the framework. Yeah, like Anita says, I went through both and glad I did P2P first. I mean, people, yeah, Amasia says, I'm glad I'd signed up for P2P first. You're gonna get, you're gonna get something out of it no matter which way you do it. But I do think that you get more when purpose to platform is your foundation. Yeah. Any other question? And Danielle, now that Danielle, I know you already have like an established brand, right? I already know what you do. I know you've had some media, and I know that you got really good. I remember your story from Command the Stage. But if you still feel like there's a disconnect between where your brand is today and where you see it going, there could be something else missing. If you still feel like, okay, but why am I not charging what I think I should be able to charge, or why am I not getting the opportunities I feel like I could, or why am I not enrolling people, or where is the disconnect? More than likely, you would be able to find the hole and plug it if you came through Purpose to Platform. So again, it's for emerging and evolving entrepreneurs. So I really say Purpose to Platform is really good for anyone who's been in business doing whatever you're looking to really take to the next level. I would say 0 to 5 years. If you haven't really started anything much and you want to make sure that you do it with a strong foundation, or you've been doing something and you've been in you've had momentum. Like Anita, I'm gonna brag on Anita. Anita came in, and Anita already had an established brand. She already was doing all the things that she was doing with sewing and women's empowerment, and she was showing up consistently on her platform, which was a YouTube channel. Um, but what we did was add some more structure to what she was doing. And Anita, I don't know if Anita is scheduled to be on any of these calls, but you guys do have to hear. I think she's on the podcast this week, actually. Anita got pushed into just launching her program. So she was able to launch the program and actually generate $40,000 in her business within, I think, 7 days or 10 days or something like that. She enrolled her first 100 people. And when I was pushing her on our Friday call, she was saying, "You think I'm ready? I don't know. You're making my heart flutter." Who was on that call with Anita? I don't know. Are you sure? She looked at me like a deer in headlights. And I pushed her and I told her exactly what she needed to do. I told her when she needed to cut it off. Yes, I was like, "Ma'am, do not take over 100 people because you may be too overwhelmed." And she was able to generate $40,000. Was it 2 weeks? Within 2 weeks. Um, Look, she said, "Girl, my mind was blown." Anita was able to generate. You're not still traumatized. Oh, Sonara says I was on that call. Yeah, right. It was a push, but I knew I could push Anita because she had a platform before she came. Obviously, if you're just starting out and you don't have any place where you've been consistent, I may push for different things, but I wouldn't push for you to launch the way that I kind of pushed Anita to launch. But she did it. Now, everybody's story is not going to be $40,000 in just over 2 weeks. That's not going to be it. Some are going to be, I took a children's book that I've had an idea for 26 years, and I'm finally doing it. Some people are going to say I launched my beta program for my one-on-one coaching program. Some people are going to say, "You know what? I haven't launched anything while I've been here, but boy, do I show up differently. Boy, do I have more confidence. Like I know what I'm ready to do now, and as I transition out of my 9 to 5, I'm going to be building this thing on the side." I don't have like this thing that everyone has to do the same thing, because I believe in honoring the dignity of your own process. I believe in honoring the dignity of your own process, but I do know that if you apply what we teach, you're going to come out. You're going to find the missing pieces. No way about it. But you have to trust the process. You have to trust the process. You have to trust the process. I don't know who that's for. I have to keep saying it. One of the things that I say in Purpose to Platform, you guys, all the time is, and this sounds harsh, but everything I say is with love. You're not special. The reason Maddie and I could not talk about this, but we have very similar ideas of what you need to do foundationally, is because whether you want to be a brand influencer in the lifestyle and fashion space, or you want to be a personal finance expert, there are some things that foundationally, everybody just needs. And that's what I teach you in Purpose to Platform. Doesn't matter. Come on, Sheree. I launched my business after P2P and was inspired by all I learned. Yeah, I think we underestimate the power of clarity. I think we underestimate the power of clarity. For some of you might be thinking, "Well, if I don't launch anything in 12 weeks, was it worth it?" Well, you've been gathering information for 12 years. Was it worth it to keep just gathering information and trying to figure it out and going at it alone and trying to deconstruct what successful brands are doing, when you can learn from someone that actually has built a successful brand? 12 weeks, you don't have to launch the biggest business in the world, but you will know who you are. You will know more about who you are than what you've been doing on your own. There's no way. There's no way. And one thing about it, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth from my perspective. And that's one thing about the coaches and I. We don't mince words. Like, again, when you come into P2P on Sunday, I am so excited to meet you. I'm excited to meet this version of you, but I'm not committed to this version of you. I'm committed to pulling out everything that I can to get you to who I know you can be in 12 weeks. Whether that's more boldness, more confidence, more clarity, type messaging, a program, whatever platform you want to do. This is about what you want to do. This has to be what God has called you to do. Because, like I told you in the challenge, I didn't call you, but I would be so honored to guide you. But all I can do is guide you. You have to trust the process. And we underestimate the power of clarity. We underestimate the power of a solid community. We underestimate, the power of coaches who have been there, done that. You guys, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in becoming Patrice Washington. I've had book coaches, media coaches, speaking coaches, this coach, that coach. I have done all the things, right? And I'm not saying that you're going to get everything that I know, but you're going to get a great deal of what I know to be the truth about how you can add those things to a strong foundation. When I was first starting, I didn't start with a strong foundation. I was committed, but I didn't start with a strong foundation. So I spent a lot of time floundering. It looked good. It looked busy. I got comfortable posting and it looks pretty, but it wasn't necessarily as profitable as it could be. It wasn't necessarily as profitable as it could be. And had I had more clarity and I had a coach that I could really lean into, who was going to tell me the truth and not gas me up to take their next thing and their next thing and their next thing while never delivering the first thing. Hello, because we've all heard of those or seen that. I could have gotten there sooner, quicker, faster. So the reason that, I coach the way that I coach, and the reason that Purpose to Platform is built the way that it's built is to get you in action. It's to get you clarity. It's to build the momentum. It's to make sure that you're loved on and supported. And that when you start to, I want to stop. I was going to say punk out, but I guess that's the right. When you start to punk out on your purpose, we're not. When you start to play small, we're not. Coach Brittany is going to tell you that you're big business. And Coach Courage is going to remind you of what, if you are, a person of faith, like what that says about you, right? Remind you of those things. We're going to arm you with everything that we can possibly do. But you got to show up. Is this her, Dean? For me, P2P truly had me recognize my niche of being a grief expert. It's been with me all my life, but I didn't realize it. I didn't know it was my gift. I thought everyone knew the things I know about processing grief. No. And man, when you finally leaned into that, just to watch you, I know this is Herdine, I know it says Facebook user, but just to watch how you've evolved and all the things that have come from it. And then how, even when you took a step back to focus on your faith pillar and your people pillar, how you were still attracting opportunities because you were solid. Your foundation was solid. So you didn't have to show up all day, every day and be busy, busy, busy. Your presence, you were productive. It's me. I know it's you. You were productive, and that paid off in the way that it needed to pay off at the time that you were ready. But what I love is that, I think even just being in this space, when Herdine is like, I'm off and I'm attending to my people pillar, and I'm off and I'm taking care, of my faith pillar. But to know that you can do that, and always be able to pivot or come back and do whatever you want to do because the foundation is strong. You can always do whatever you want to do because the foundation is strong. It's really hard to be able to pivot, especially in times like this of uncertainty. And there's all these things going on in the world, right? You can't pivot on a paper plate. That is very hard. You need to be anchored in something. And what I know to be true is that if you show up for P2P the way that we show up, you will be anchored, because your purpose is going to evolve, friends. Whatever you come to P2P and create, and whatever you do, understand that in 2 years, it could look different. In 2 years, it could look different. In 5 years, it's gonna look different. In 10 years, it's gonna look different. But it's okay because you have a strong foundation, so you can handle the pivot. Catherine, I'm not sure how to access position to prospect. Are you, oh, position to prosper? That's not until November, so there's nothing to access at this point. Anyone who signed up for P2P through 11:59 p.m. tonight, you'll just get complimentary access when the event is ready to go, and that's not until November 11th. So there's nothing for you to do with that right now. We know because we have the tags for anyone who comes in and your tag is dated through today, um, which is um, which is what is today? The 17th, August 17th, then we'll know. Your purpose planning guide, if you're already in P2P, your purpose planning guide, just send us a message. I mean, we can show you how to get to it, but it's right there on the left hand side. It should be on the left hand side when you log in. If you've already gone through your welcome assessment and some of that initial stuff, you should have access to it. But I will check with Chauncey and make sure that everyone has access to their purpose planning guide, because that's definitely the pre-work that you want to do in preparation for next week. I always believe in pre-work. I believe in you doing that pre-work so you can get clear around what speaks to you. Because when you come into Purpose the Platform, you're going to see people again at different stages, and you're going to hear about all types of stuff. And I love, if you didn't get a purpose planning guide, okay, we'll go in and check. It's all inside of your do the homework. It's all inside. So we'll check it. And just, we'll check it. You should have access to it already. But that is about making sure that you stay committed to what feels good for you. Yes, it's going to evolve as you're exposed to things in the program, but I don't want you to look at what other people are doing and be swayed to and fro the whole time. This is about, you having a strong foundation. I'll double check and make sure that it's right there and that you can click on it. I know I saw it on my back end, but I have to check it from your perspective. So I'll look at it as an attendee, as a participant. No, Purpose to Platform, James. There are no men in Purpose to Platform. My speaker training, Command the Stage. Yes, we accept men. But in Purpose to Platform, it's an all women program. It's all women at this point. No, the guy wasn't emailed. So you guys must really just can't see it. So I'm going to go in there tonight and make sure that it's there. I can see it on my side. Maybe it's not illuminated enough. I'll check it for you. But if you've gone through the assessment and you progress forward, it's just there. It's just sitting there. You have to push the button to go forward after you've seen. Okay. So Keltrice, you're there. The pre-homework already is making me dig deeper. Okay. So it's visible. It's there, but maybe you're just not seeing it. And I have to go in and see it again. I haven't really gone through the whole thing since the last cohort. But it's definitely there. So, Sasha, so you see it too. Okay, I'm like, Sasha, am I crazy? Like, what is happening? You can fill it out right there in the browser, or you can download it and you can save it. Yeah, okay. We'll take a look. I'll take a look. So, okay, so Chauncey just texted me. I just checked as a participant. The purpose planning guide is visible and it's right at the top and visible. I know that still may sound vague, so we may need to, we'll figure out, maybe we'll just send an email, Chauncey, to everyone with a screenshot of how they can see it, right? Maybe I'm not sure, but it's in there when you log in, when you use your username and password to log in and you see the welcome, it's there. So, listen, if you guys have any more questions, just remember, we still have MH and Megan, and they are talking to people one-on-one and really talking to you. It's a 15-minute make a decision call. I think I put it up here yesterday. It is, I might drop it in the chat. It is patricewashington.com /talk. patricewashington.com /talk. You can jump on and you can chat with them about what you want to create and what I've told them to do. And they already know this about me, but what I've told them to do is be 1000% honest if we are not going to be a fit for you. because I want everyone to come into Purpose the platform and be really, really, I don't just want you to be excited. It's more, I want you to be clear that you've made the right decision. Because if you're still in a space of indecisiveness, you're going to shrink and hide, right? And you're going to be, oh my gosh, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? It's okay to kind of be like, oh, I'm excited, I'm nervous, and all those things. But I want you to say yes, knowing that you've made the right choice. And so this is not a high pressure call. This is not a high pressure call at all. It's literally for you to have an opportunity to really get your questions answered. So if you want to talk, they have spots available tomorrow through Friday afternoon, and they will get on and chat with you for about 15 minutes, and they will say straight up, like, this is probably going to be really good. I see how this could benefit what it is you want to create. Or they're going to say, you know what, probably not the best if we don't genuinely do what you need. They're just going to tell you and be honest. And for those of you that continue to DM me on Instagram, today was really busy. I had 5 interviews today, and then was getting ready for our live stream. So I know I've been answering people and responding to your voice notes and all those things. And there are people who will tell you, I've said maybe not. I've told people go back and make sure that you pray about it and you feel really good on it. I'm not like, oh yeah, it's definitely for you. I've been going back and forth with people and asking them questions because I want to know. I think we both should know that this is definitely the thing for you, right? Again, to me, whoever's supposed to be in this cohort, it feels magical, right? But magic is an illusion. It's really ordained. It's really anointed, right? And the people who are supposed to be here will be here. It may not hit 175. Makes me no difference. The way that we're committed to showing up and serving, that doesn't matter to me. Whoever's supposed to be here, you're going to be here. And whoever's supposed to be here, you're going to be in the cohort with the people that you are supposed to like hook up with and do this journey with. That's what I believe. Whoever is supposed to be here is going to be here, and it's going to be good no matter what. It's going to be good no matter what. It's going to be excellent. And I just pray that we graduate another cycle of people committed to their purpose, who are standing in faith, who know that they are making decisions from a place of faith now, and not just doing things based on the fear, not living their life rooted in fear. Right? So you can ask me questions, but I'm going to bed. I'm not going to lie to you. I was on that overnight flight from Los Angeles, and your girl is tired. But I know people have more questions. So for the ones who wanted to ask me, I just wanted to spend this time with you. But you can ask me in the DMs. You can ask any of the coaches, people you've seen as coaches, any of the women who've been showing up. Again, these women have been saying, Patrice, I want to share. I want to tell people my story. I want to share what P2P did for me. It's not because I'm begging people to come on. They're like, what can I do? I want people to know what this did for me. I want people to know how this changed my life. Right? And so that's why they keep coming. Yeah. And Bree, I'm with you. If it's not for you, I'm okay with that. Yeah. But she says, what I do know is I'm hyped to welcome my future alumni sisters. I am too. I am too. And I love that, so many of the people who come through P2P, they end up being, and I can't say this about everyone, but I can say that there are certain people that, our relationships have grown. And I'm not saying this because you sign up for P2P to be my friend. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying we're such a tight-knit community that to see how they show up and still do things with each other, but how they, the sisters, the P2P sisters still show up for me. Bree is helping me plan an event right now. Jamila Divine helped with my event some time ago. Like the challenge coaches who have given so freely of themselves. Like, man, that's who we are. And so whoever you come into this, it's like a game. You got to get jumped out. We're not just letting you go. Now, you may not know everybody intimately, as you can't know 100 people intimately, or 100 whatever. You can't, right? But you're going to find people who are your people. And my hope and prayer is that you have business besties who will remind you of what you learned and remind you to commit to the call and remind you to stick to your purpose long after purpose, the platform is done, because you guys have that same foundation. Because you have the same foundation. Raina, how many live calls? Okay, I promise this is it. How many live calls per week? There are 7 live calls per week. Each coach has a live call Tuesday through Thursday. There's 2 calls per day. But this is not about you trying to be on everything. It's about understanding, what do I need now to help me move forward? What do I actually need? You may not need strategy. One week you may need faith, right? One week you may really need to get on the clarity call with Jatia and a tech call with Sandra. It's not about, right? Because, and I have to say this, and I'm not saying this about you, Raina, I'm saying this in general. I don't want people to come into P2P and be overwhelmed. That's a scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset says, if I'm going to get my money's worth, I need to be on every call and do everything. That's not true. Right? Like, that's not true. You don't have to be on every call and you have to do everything. We consider my calls on Fridays to be our core calls because that's when most people come together. And then people self-select. What do I need? I'm confused about tech. I'm going to get on the tech call. I'm not able to, my schedule, something's not happening. I'm not finding the time to do this. I need to talk to Coach Kathy. You go and talk to who you need. Yeah, you go and talk to who you need. So just because something is made available, that doesn't mean you have to feast on it all, right? When you go to a buffet, they may have ribs, chicken, salmon, nuggets. I don't know. They may have all the things. You don't have to eat it all. It's available for what you feel like you need at that moment. That doesn't mean you have to eat it all, right? That doesn't mean that you have to eat it all. And that's the way I feel about Purpose to Platform. I'm going to lay out a smorgasbord of purpose, but you just need to commit to getting what you need. And then replays are your friend. You'll have access to the replays and you make time. Oh, I love that, James. Did you guys see this comment? Just so you know, I'm mad. You're the epitome of Black girl magic. Your passion is contagious. Thank you. I received that. I really received that. I truly appreciate that. Thank you, James. I know one day we're going to find something to do for the fellas. But in this season, I feel very called to commit these type of spaces for women to really be supported, especially when women, there's always that thing about women don't know how to support women. We crush that. We completely dismantle that, right? Because we are such a great community for showing up together. Yeah. So the calls are during the day. I think the latest call this cohort is going to be at 6 p.m. And I believe that's our Thursday call. My calls on Fridays are at 11 a.m. now, and I do a 2-hour call where I walk you through the important parts of, all of the content is important, but I really walk you through content immersion, make sure that you're really paying attention to specific things that you're going to be learning that week. And I also do Q&A. And I'm going to be doing, it's basically like laser focused coaching. So you submit your questions and we'll select some people very specifically to address certain things. And I'm going to coach you live through your challenge. And it'll be a blessing to everyone else that's there as well. Yep. So, okay. So for people who have already signed up for P2P, you're going to get all that. Welcome orientation is on Sunday. You'll be fine. You will be fine. You don't have to know every single piece right now. Right now, just like congratulate yourself for committing. And we're going to make sure you get access to the purpose planning guides. They're there, but it looks like on some browsers, people are not seeing it. So we'll send out a message for you about that, but it's okay. You're going to be fine. You'll be fine. You're in good hands. And last question, Rosa, is P2P offered every year? My intention is to offer P2P again next year. That is my intention. It depends on how it goes. I'm not attached to that. I'm not attached to, I have to do this every way in this time, because my life and career are evolving too, you guys. And man, I can't tell you what, there's a couple announcements that I have coming. And when you hear the announcements, you'll understand why I'm not getting ahead of myself to say, it has to be this date, because my life may be different next year. And I don't know if it's going to be the exact same format or what I'll have to do to fit wherever the Lord leads. So But my intention is to do it again next year, but it wouldn't be until like the fall. So if you don't come in now, just understand, Stephanie, stop guessing, mind your business. And yes, um, my intention is that it'll be probably at least the next fall. The next thing I do will be command the stage, and then we'll figure out what my life looks like, and then we may do P2P again. But quite frankly, if you don't come into P2P now, you're definitely gonna not be in it for probably 12 months. Probably about 12 months. All right. So this is it. This is gonna be our last one for some time. So if you know this is the space for you, again, have a conversation with MH or Megan, or you can send me a message. Um, Stephanie, are you in P2P? Because you just make me laugh. I don't know if you signed up already, but you seem like you would be really fun. So yeah, yeah. That's it for now, you guys. My husband just texted me and said I need to come upstairs and rest and stop talking. So I'm gonna do that. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you all so much. I hope that you're, getting a lot of value. I have something that I want to give away tomorrow. We'll send an email out about what that is. But other than that, you guys have a blessed night. Y'all get some rest too. And just thank you for being here with me. Thank you for being here. Be blessed. Have a good night. Bye-bye.